Good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year, everyone. It's 2025. Welcome to KerbSide Collections, our monthly pickup show, where I have my very special very special co-star, I'll say. I didn't write any notes for this, so I'm a bit tongue-tied already. It's early in the morning, we're recording at a different time. So, Blue Relic Hunter, Shane, how are you going? Welcome.
Going good, Adam. It's a nice sunny heading to 32 in Hobart today.
Geez, that's hot for Hobart.
Well, 32 is more like 37, so it's
Yeah,
going to be pretty
yeah.
damn hot today.
No, I'm well aware of Tassie heat. You got to add at least 5 or 6 degrees compared to anywhere else. So yeah, that's impressive. It's nice and humid where I am today, and I'm going to hit high 20s, I think, but it's nice and cloudy. So that's nice. Go for a walk later and sweat out some of these toxins in my body.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, like I said, it is a new year. Thank you for everyone who's listened to the show so far. It's only started late last year, and yeah, thanks for all our regular listeners, and hopefully we can promote it and get some more listeners and more guests on at some point in 2025. It's only going to expand from here. So yeah, thanks for everyone for also following our Instagram pages and interacting, and all the new friends. I know I'll speak for myself here, but all the new friends I've made, it's been a great journey so far. Honestly, just starting this the first show dropped in September, but I officially started recording I think around August or something. So yeah, it's been great, and it's been a good ride, a fun ride, and yeah, been keeping it nice and casual. And I got to meet this fine fellow opposite me through this. And mate, I'm thinking back now, again, not preparing any notes for this because why would I do that and be smart about it? But I'm trying to think of how I got you roped in to doing this. Like, what happened there? I just kind of suggested it, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's do a regular show.
Well,
'Cause,
we were chatting on Instagram,
mm,
and initially I thought you were in Tasmania. And
mm,
I thought, oh yeah, that's cool. But it turned out you weren't. And then you just asked me, do I want to do this show, this podcast in
yeah,
September? I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll prepare for that. And
yeah.
it's just gone from there. Like, it's been awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's good fun, man, and it's a bit of extra homework for it's stuff we did by ourselves anyway, right? We research what's coming
Yeah.
up and keep track of what we've got, and so we just turn it into a show that would bore the pants out of 99.5% of the population. So it's good that we've got some people listening because there's a lot of it's a strong little subculture of the physical media collection world. So yeah, exciting times ahead, I would say.
Oh, 2025 is going to be huge,
It
like
is
for
going to be
physical
huge.
media and the releases that are coming out
Yeah.
that we know about.
Mm.
Ones that we think may be coming out is like
Hmm.
it's off the charts. It's going to be leaving 2024 for dead, and
Yeah.
24 was pretty big.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of just want to, it's a good little segue before we get into, our personal arrivals and what is coming from the labels is, do you have any, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, and this is definitely not a New Year's resolution, but I have decided, because 2024 for me was a massive collection year. Like I reckon, I don't even want to know how much I spent, but I reckon my collection grew by probably near 1,000 discs, 1,000 movies over 2024. And I'm just want to re-strategize the way I purchase things now. So I'm not, even though I do my interview show, I probably have mentioned in some of those episodes that may have aired or may not have aired yet, but I'm not massive into the collecting, like the fancy artwork and boxes. I just mostly not there's exceptions to every rule, but mostly I just really want the movie itself
Hmm.
in the best format I can get it in. And I kind of went against that in 2024, and I upgraded a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have upgraded after watching the 4K over the Blu-ray. Like just this last week, New Year's Day actually, I watched The Departed on the 4K. I'm like, I probably didn't need to upgrade that from the Blu-ray, because honestly, it's not a bad 4K, but the Blu-ray also wasn't bad. Like it's no need for me to be spending that money. So I am going to go against that rule again. I mean, not when I announce what I've had arrive, but for the most part, I will only be upgrading movies that are my kind of in my all-time favorites. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like, do you have any new strategies, any new ways you're going to purchase in 2025?
I'd say like for Blu-rays, like what you've done last year, I did that probably a few years back. I'd just go to JB and get like 15 to 20 on special Blu-rays and added loads to the collection. I'm not really buying a lot of Blu-ray anymore. A lot of upgrades for what we've already got, or if it's a 4K and I never had the Blu-ray, just gonna buy the 4K really, because I
Yep.
want to see it in the best way I can. Probably leaning a lot more into the boutique side of things.
Yeah.
But Vinegar Syndrome and Second Sight Films, they're probably the ones that are going to be the fancy boxes that I'd get.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. It's just, it
It
costs a
is.
lot to buy these. And I think that's like the limit for me. I don't think I would
Yeah.
go to those like click box sets or the Manta Lab sets. I
Titans
mean,
of Cult type of things that they do as well.
well, Titans of Cult, maybe. I did see that John Wick set that come out. Well, it's not a set. It's just, I think it's for the first film. Um,
Yes.
and that's looks like a beautiful set. I mean, it's chunky box. I mean, I've already got
Mm.
John Wick on 4K anyway, but
Yeah.
to have that set, like what we like, we're self-indulgent and we don't care. And
Yeah.
if you love a film, like I love John Wick, if I had that,
Yep.
it'd be good to have. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so
There,
there's stuff like that, I guess.
I mean, there are collectors out there who collect as many versions of the same film as they possibly can, which I find strange. I do find it like someone has every different, like they have a DVD, then they'll have various different Blu-rays and a steelbook, and then the 4K, the different variations of the same movie. I don't
Mm.
personally understand that. I mean, I do have, obviously I have duplicate movies, but that's mostly by accident, or because I've upgraded to a Blu-ray or to a 4K. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, and mainly, to try and cut some of the expenditure of this is
Mm.
because it was out of hand, and I want to save more money and need to save more money, like the rest of the world. Like I'm not Robinson Crusoe, so yeah, I need to really only upgrade things that I know I'm going to watch regularly. At
Mm.
least once every 18 to 24 months, because I have that many in my collection. Like anything sooner than that would be absurd. And yeah, just really slow down that growth of my spreadsheet, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I like that we're kind of opposite in the way we collect. Like you do go for those beautiful. You buy, happy to spend that extra on just a few. Where I like to get, because I go op shopping quite a bit, and I go to
Mm.
secondhand like the CEX stores and that quite a bit. So a lot of my collection has grown from those. So I don't pay full price for everything, because especially stuff that's out of print, like CEX and op shopping is great for those things, or even topping up some of my TV collection. So whereas I see something from Second Sight and go, that'd be great, that'd be amazing, but I don't want to pay $75 for It
Mm.
Follows. So I don't, yeah, and I like the fact that you collect and you have like beautiful displays of your films, like the good box art, like the way Vinegar Syndrome and again Second Sight, their artwork that they do, like it's stunning. But I don't have this. I don't have the ability to be able to display my stuff like that either. So that's probably another reason, because everything in mine is spine out, and that's basically it. So I do want to get more shelves so I can display my steel books. Actually, that'd be nice. But that would be about all I would display.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of, I mean, we did do a shelf upgrade, which I've never really shared on the
Mm,
page.
mm.
Not that I don't want to, but I've just never really done it. But we still need to do another one. Um,
Yeah, same. Yeah.
we don't really like, we've still got space, a little bit of comfortable space at the minute, but to display like the imprint stuff that I've got, the Vinegar Syndrome stuff that I've got in the other room, that's just in
Yeah.
shelves stacked up on top of each other. It's not how I want it displayed. Another shelf in the lounge room will fix that.
Yep.
But it's just, I don't know. I've kind of already gone down that road of buying. I went through the DVD to Blu-ray switch,
Yep.
upgrading stuff, and what I'm doing now is what I was doing 7 to 8 years ago. going into Blu-ray
Mm.
because 4K wasn't huge back then.
Yep.
Now it's reversed. 4K is the thing. And I'm happy to upgrade things. And then I take them out of the Blu-ray room and they go on the dark cupboard, which is also growing in there. So I keep doing that. But, I'm kind of just cutting back on just buying a lot of titles. I'm mainly
Yeah.
pinpointing titles that I'm like, yes, I really want to get that. But the problem is,
Yeah.
as we know, the money, it's
Yes.
not cheap to do this. And I know Leah and I, we've already talked about us. If I die, she'll
Yeah.
sell all of it,
Oh,
and
really?
all of it, because you know it is my thing. We
Yep.
share it together, but
Yep.
in the end, it's not something I want her to keep. I want her
Yeah.
to sell it, whatever
Yep.
she can get for it, because I know down the track there will be titles that will be worth a bit.
Absolutely.
They're already worth a bit now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's just what people want to sell things for, what people are willing to pay as well. It's just an expensive hobby. It's like
Yeah.
work like building a car because you love cars and you want to race it or rev it down the road.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's expensive, but what you
Yeah.
get out of it is what matters. If it means a lot to you, it doesn't matter what it costs. It's like it's important to you. So
Yeah, no, I agree. You've got everyone's got their own vice and what they'll spend their money on frivolously, if they have it, and if you're lucky enough to have it, then yeah. And at the end of the day, more power to any. Like, yeah, again, yeah, like you said, it's what brings you joy, and if that brings you joy, then it's hard for anyone to kind of shit on what brings someone joy, right? Like for me, I like cars. I'm into motor racing, but I would never spend a fortune on doing up a car. Like a car to me is just something to get me from A to B, really. Like I don't,
yep.
even if I won Powerball, I would not be going out and buying Maseratis. I wouldn't be buying things like that at all. Like I'd still have a hybrid Camry or whatever, I wouldn't be going over the top with cars. I would have a shit ton of extra movies though, for no real reason. That's what I'd,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, each to their own. Live and let live, I guess, is the message that we're getting across for 2025 as we get into contradicting myself a little bit. So, did you want to talk about what you've had? Yeah, I'm going to hand over to you to talk about what you've had arrive recently. Any not just anything of note you want to discuss.
Well, like we were talking about before we hit the old record button, we're going to be trading places on this episode. I'm going to be the one that is going to be unloading on the arrivals and
Yeah.
incomings because I kind of went a little bit crazy with the Boxing Day sales and leading up to Boxing Day because they already had sales. So I kind of hit JB pretty hard, which I haven't done in a long, long time. And also some of the incoming stuff that hasn't arrived from JB yet. And some other little nuggets that I've really had my eye on. So
I think some of my influence on some of those purchases from what I've seen too, yeah, which I'm happy with. I'm proud I've influenced you in a little way with some of those older films.
absolutely. So basically, I'll start with that because
Yep.
that's cool in itself. So basically, my mother-in-law came over for Christmas, and I did see that Outrun had White Christmas, and I thought, wow, never seen it. I know my mother-in-law would have seen it at some point. I'm pretty sure she would like it. Turns out, yes, absolute winner.
Yep.
So we watched that on Christmas Day, and the transfer of that, it just blew me away. It was
Mm,
almost like watching a 3D film, the way all the sets were made, and it just looked incredible. And I was like, I think I've just tapped into something now.
yeah.
What you've been telling me. So from there, I kind of went a little bit nuts. So, we watched White Christmas. I went back to JB and I was looking at all the old titles that they had and ended up getting Casablanca, which we watched, and that was fantastic.
Mhm.
looked amazing for a film that's like 82 years old.
It's crazy how good they look.
And the ones that we haven't watched, but we got them, Spartacus. Well, I have seen Wizard of Oz, but keen to check that out again because I reckon that'll look incredible.
Okay.
That's just the regular one. It's not that big box.
Yeah, yeah,
Not that
yeah.
I didn't want the big box, but I don't know.
$80. Well,
Just
$60, I guess it was, wasn't it?
couldn't really afford to get that
Mm.
even in the sale. It was
You
just a
don't
lot.
yeah, you don't need it. I mean, it's a nice looking steelbook, to be honest. It is a really nice, and the same with that Nightmare on Elm Street, and there was another
Oh,
one.
for sure.
Yeah, and I just thought, nah. I mean, I own them on 4K. I don't have the Nightmare on Elm Street, but that's not a film. That Nightmare on Elm Street is not something I need on steelbook, especially, or to even upgrade to 4K.
Well, that's interesting that we got the exact same release as they
Mm,
did overseas. So
mm,
I pre-ordered that through Rick. As
yep,
soon as he put it up, bam, I was
yep,
getting it. I think the only difference is because it was directly from Warner, it
yeah,
came in the Warner box. But
right,
the release we have in Australia is exactly the same from what I can see. The box is the same, deluxe
yep,
fatness and all that.
yep.
So I
So,
think just the same.
and not to just kind of encroaching on something we'll talk about a bit later, I guess as well. But that's kind of holds a bit of hope for the seven steelbook and box set, because as of now, there's no official word that the 7 steelbook or 4K is coming to Australia. It's Warner. It's a Warner title. How much longer after Rick announced after the steelbook for Nightmare on Elm Street? How much longer was it for the Australian copy to come? Was it 3 months or something?
I reckon 4 months.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, so I'm predicting we will get. I'm very confident we will get 7, but I don't think it'll be until at least April, around the Easter period. Probably before that, so they don't hit Easter sales and undercut themselves. So normally release them between sales so they don't get caught out.
well, I've seen some pictures of other followers on Instagram. Well, they're probably not following me. I'm following them,
Mm.
but they've already got it in the States. And
Yeah, yeah.
I saw someone post it. It looked like it folded out like about
Oh,
six.
there's a digipack. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which I don't want the digipack. That's
and
terrible.
it looks like all the extra art and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a key ring. There's probably art card. I
The
had to
art card.
chuck
There's
that
no.
in there.
I
Had
don't.
to.
No, no, that's good. I like it. But I think the art cards are actually printed on the box, on the actual pack itself, rather than come separately for you to throw
Yeah,
away or whatever. Frisbee across the room.
you're not going to turn into like Gambit and start flinging the art
Yeah,
cards.
could do. Could
Like,
do.
but I mean, some of the other ones that I got, Cool Hand Luke, never
Nice.
seen that.
Very good movie.
Giant, which you did tell me
Oh,
about.
mate.
I think in the last episode, Giant came up, or in a chat
Yes.
we were having
Yep.
outside of the episode. And Maltese Falcon, had to get it after seeing Casablanca, so check that out.
Yeah. Just Maltese Falcon. If you thought Casablanca looked good, wait till you watch Maltese Falcon. That is reference quality transfer. It is so good.
I've,
So good.
I've heard that from some other people. The Maltese transfer is just off the charts. It's
It's
incredible.
it's it's mint, and it's also a spectacular. It's such a great film. It's a film. Honestly, you can just watch it. You could watch it once a week and never be bored of Maltese Falcon. Honestly, it's just so good. Yeah. Any other oldies or anything else you want to talk about that you've had
Um,
arrive from the Boxing Day sales?
so that's all the old ones. I did look at others, but I was very hesitant to get anything shipped because my faith in the Packers who do JB stuff
It's not
is
good, is it? They are pretty
it's
ordinary.
super low.
Yeah.
So I did have a lot of other stuff, but when I went to get it in the cart, it was already unavailable.
Mm.
So yeah, I a bit of faith restored from the orders I got yesterday. I was pretty excited. But for the other stuff that I got, I finally got June 2, which I haven't seen yet. I mean, after seeing
Oh,
June 1, pretty keen to check
good
that out.
for a treat.
Some imprint titles, Let's Get Harry,
Oh,
Men of
yeah.
Respect. I haven't seen either of them either. Picked up Hocus Pocus, super cheap.
Oh, yeah.
That was like $15, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
For a 4K, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You're
I know, right?
just going to grab it, and I haven't seen that since I was a kid. Purple Rain, and
Nice.
surprise, surprise, I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it. It's not a film that I've ever ran out to track down, but
It's not.
other good friend Mauricio, die-hard Prince fan.
Yeah,
To the
same.
ends of the earth, he just gets whatever he can that is Prince, and he said you have to get it. The transfer is off the rails. It's
Me
crazy.
and me and Mauricio would be very. Yeah, Prince is I'm a diehard Prince fan too. Like he's the greatest artist that's ever lived of any genre of art. I think. He's no one will ever be as no one was ever as good before him, and no one will ever be as good since him. I don't think. So I've not actually watched my 4K of Purple Rain, but I will say, going into the movie, don't expect a brilliant movie. Just expect a brilliant soundtrack. Honestly,
Yep,
like the movie's fine, but it's just all about the soundtrack. Spectacular stuff.
for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
Wayno's also a Prince nut as well.
I have seen that. There's quite a few hardcore Prince goers out there. So I am keen to check that out. I got Death on the Nile as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And apparently that's been deleted. It's a deleted title on the
Disney. It is a Disney stuff, so yeah, that makes sense.
finally got a Wonka, which I saw at the cinema, and I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it.
I like Wonka too.
It's a musical. I'm not into musicals, but I tell you what, they did a smashing job on that one.
I used to always
Um,
think I wasn't into musicals as well, mate. But I've, since La La Land, and La La Land's in my top 4 of all time.
Yep.
I like music. I watched Singing in the Rain the other day, and like New Year's Eve, I watched Singing in the Rain, and it's great. It's just, I like musicals, but not all musicals.
Well, Singing in the Rain is another one that I had in my cart, and
Didn't get it.
I was just gonna. Oh, it became unavailable. I actually had it in my
Ah,
hand in the
ah,
store in Hobart,
right.
but I I had a heap of other ones, and I just couldn't afford to get everything. But
No.
so I didn't end up getting that. You already mentioned The Departed, and you told me the other night you thought, I don't know, it's a bit same, but I had already
Yeah.
bought it. So
Yep. Yes. Yes.
we've had a copy of that, I reckon about 7, 8 years now. Still in the
Mm.
wrapper. I've never watched it. Not to say that I don't like it.
Oh, so
Just
you have
haven't watched
seen The
it.
Departed?
I have seen it. I saw
Yeah.
it at the
Yeah. Yeah.
cinema when it came out, and it's just mind blowing film.
Spectacular.
So it'll be good to check that out again. Picked up Sonic 1 and 2, King Kong, Skull Island, King Kong.
Which King Kong was it that you got? Was it the Peter Jackson one from
Yeah,
2000? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I haven't seen that since it was at the cinema, so
Yeah.
a while. Got 3 billboards, which we watched, and just
Yeah.
mind blowing film. And we watched Meg 2 last night, which I don't know, take it as you will, those films. I mean, I just find them really fun,
Yep.
entertaining. Ready Player One, which was mind blowing. Pandora, which I managed to get one of those
The lenticular one.
box sets for like 20
Nice.
back, a couple weeks back.
Wow.
So that's what I've got in for that stuff. Other incoming ones, True Detective season 4,
Yep.
purely just because it has Jodie Foster in it, and
Night Country. Yep.
I reckon it will be unbelievably good.
It's supposed to be good.
Well, we
I've
just
heard good
finished
things.
season 2, and that was
Yeah.
brutal.
I've heard season 2 is pretty shit.
It's more of an urban True Detective, because the first one with Woody and Matt was,
Yeah.
I don't know, just had an organic, bit more of the detective side of it. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to solve an actual murder and stuff. This was
Yeah.
more of, I don't know, just a bit more gangster, a bit more of that side of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean we've had that for ages. We've had season 3 for ages as well. So we'll
Yeah.
be checking 3 and 4 out soon. The City of Lost Children, which I've never seen.
Yeah. I've got that. I haven't seen it yet.
Peeping Tom, got
Oh,
that.
have you seen that before?
Never
Great
seen it.
movie.
I've
Great
heard
movie.
it's pretty intense.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, got that. American Sniper, which I haven't seen in a bloody long time, but incredible film.
I've never seen that.
Oh, dude, it's good. Well worth picking up. I
Hmm.
didn't want to spend all the money on the deluxe box.
Yeah.
I mean, these deluxe steel sets, they're great. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but it's just not something I wanted to invest in. And the next two, very, very excited, and they ship today. The Stir of Echoes Steelbook.
Yes.
I've seen
Yeah.
pics online of other followers from the States that have got it, and I'm just like, fuck, I need to get that somehow. So I went to eBay for that. And also
Okay.
the Kickboxer Steel
Yeah,
4K.
that looks real good.
That wow, that
Yeah,
that
that looks crazy
that
good.
lenticular slip, and then just
Yeah.
the finish on the steel, like on the
Yeah.
back of it, how he's kicking Tong Po in the face, and the blood spray. It's
Yeah.
like it's coming off the steel. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. There's other stuff like VS stuff that I'll chat about when we go through the VS label stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
that
talk about that when we talk about what you've got,
for sure.
what you've got
Yeah.
on order. So have you talked about what you've got on order, everything, or do you want me to talk about what I've had come?
Oh no,
I'll let this up
that's
to you.
it. I finally got there.
Okay. Right.
That's a lot. But
Yeah, that's good
do
though.
tell us, Adam. Delve. Go into it.
Um, Now, this is typical for me. I can't remember where I left off, so I'm just going to announce what has arrived. I don't know if I mentioned it in the last show or not, because I can't remember when we recorded and when it arrived. Anyway, I got my first ever order from Outrun arrived. So I got my Mallrats on
Yep.
4K and Cowboys versus Cowboys and Aliens, or is it Cowboys versus Aliens? Cowboys and Aliens. Anyway, also got A Simple Plan, which is the Sam Raimi one. I've actually watched that, and that's a stunning. It's a fucking great movie that no one seems to know about, and it's a beautiful 4K. Highly recommend A Simple Plan for every reason. You can get that. This is the Arrow version. If you can get it, get it. Also got the Hush, the Mike Flanagan film, the Scream Factory release, because I love that movie. I only watched it recently, and then it quickly got announced that it was getting a 4K because it wasn't available on any type of format before ever. And I was like, yeah, I love this film and I love Mike Flanagan, so I'm grabbing that. I did also get the Good, the Bad, and the Weird, the Arrow version, which I need to watch. It's just I've got all this Asian cinema, and I'm just so bad at getting around to watching it. It's stupid because I just sit down and go, oh, I can't bother reading subtitles right now. So anyway, and then I just like, okay, I don't watch that. Then I put something else on. I also got my Demolition Man, the Arrow box set. That's a beautiful set for a movie that I think is honestly aged badly, but it's a fun movie. I got
Yep.
yesterday. I wanted to just mention quickly that I got and watched The Last Starfighter. I had never seen that before. So I have no nostalgic value for that, and I thought it was fine. The movie, the 4K transfer is pretty good, and yeah, not much else to say about that, to be honest. It was fun. It was like it was written. It was a movie. It's written like it was something I would have written if I was a 14-year-old boy and I
Yep.
played video games. That's kind of what the writing is like. It's very bad writing and very bad plot points and devices, but it still holds up fun wise. Like the characters are still pretty cool, and yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Also got my 4K version of The Faculty, which I watched as well, which again I was kind of a bit disappointed that I probably didn't need to upgrade that from a visual perspective. Like the 4K is fine. It didn't need an upgrade. But anyway, here we are. I've got the Blu-ray of that as well, which I'll keep. During the Boxing Day sales, I picked up the Hell House LLC box set because I've heard nothing but amazing things about those films. That'll probably get a watch, if not before, but it's definitely during spooky season 25. I've also got the Abbott and Costello horror box set, I think that's Viavision release. And also picked up the Pusher trilogy, the Wim Wenders. Sorry, no, it's not. It's Nicholas Winding Refn. I always mix those two up. That's a trilogy that I've heard nothing but great things about, and it reads really well. It reads like it's up my alley. So I was like, that was pretty good price because it already had been discounted because no one had been buying it, and then with the sale off, yeah, it worked out pretty well because yeah. And just a couple of other honorable mentions. A couple of upgrades because when I was talking about not upgrading, but I'm upgrading my absolute favorites, and I have recently started upgrading my Hitchcock to 4K, whichever ones I can. So I picked up The Birds and Apocalypse Now because I think after watching my Blu-ray of that in the middle of last year, that a 4K of that would be a good upgrade. And also picked up one I've never seen before, but heard lots about. But I just only picked up the standard Studio Canal release of Cross of Iron. It's funny that we also got an imprint 4K of that, which is quite expensive. But this was just, I think, Easy DVD have. By the time you're listening to this, the sale will be over. But they had a 30% sale over Boxing Day, Christmas, New Year, and it was like $20, probably maybe even less than that on 4K. So I was like, yeah, I'll give that a crack. So that's about it for me of any notable arrivals that I had since we last chatted. And did you talk about, I'm just going to ask again, but did you talk about what you've got coming or?
Yeah, that was the last 7 titles that are incoming. Oh, and Ocean's Trilogy 4K.
Ocean's Trilogy, yep.
Yeah, it's coming from Launceston. I won't go into the debacle of that. I already told you.
Yeah, you have. Oh,
But,
it's ridiculous it takes so long to come. They must just make one trip a week from
um,
Ronnie down to Hobart.
and I did see it up there, but at the time, that sale wasn't actually on. There was a sale on, but it wasn't 25%. I think it was maybe 20% off. But
Right.
anyway, yeah, that's some pretty good titles in there that you've mentioned. But the Faculty, I
Yeah.
watched that, I reckon, early last year, and I thought this definitely needs some work. I didn't think much of that Blu-ray at all. It
Yeah.
was a bit iffy, so I'm still keen to
Okay.
get the 4K because I love that film. It's
Yeah, I love the Faculty too. It is great. And look, it's not a bad transfer by any means. And to be honest, I never watched my Blu-ray. I also own it on iTunes as it just starts raining here. So I watched like a 4K version of it online as well. So whether it needed, I'm just saying that the 4K, it's fine. It just didn't blow me away.
Yep.
Anyway, so also what I've got coming since we last spoke, I do own this on DVD, so I've upgraded Kingpin, the Farrelly Brothers movie, and I want to see more of those come to Blu-ray because even something about Mary, I don't. It's got a Blu-ray. I probably got one in Australia, but it's out of print. And I never picked it up. But I'd like to see some of those 90s Farrelly Brothers movies. So Kingpin is probably my favorite of theirs. I think that movie's freaking hilarious. So, yep, happy to get a Blu-ray. I've also pre-ordered the Lars and the Real Girl, the slipcase edition. Strangely enough, Easy DVD have the slipcase edition for the exact same price as the standard Blu-ray. So why wouldn't you get the standard? Where JB Hi-Fi add $3 or $4 on top, I think, if you want the slipcover. Have absolutely and have advertised this as much as I can. Easy DVD have Amadeus ready for pre-order. It's only $24.97 for the 4K of Amadeus, which is a movie. Since I saw it last year, I was like, oh, I want this real bad. And to get it announced pretty soon as a 4K was great because I never got a Blu-ray, which is strange for me because I couldn't find it, to be honest. And also, I have pre-ordered Saturday Night, which is the movie that came out last year about the first ever episode of Saturday Night Live. I'm a Saturday Night Live fan, and the movie's really good. Like, surprised me. No, it didn't surprise me how good it was. It's Jason Reitman, but it's just this frenetic energy the entire time Saturday night. It's a great watch. I highly recommend a watch. I've also pre-ordered the imprint bundle for March 2025 because pretty much all those movies in there I've either seen and really, really liked them or loved them. And the other ones I haven't seen just sound really interesting. Like, I honestly think that this imprint March 2025 bundle, as in the 6 movies they're releasing, is probably the best as a collective group of films that they've released at the same time. Normally, if they've released 6, there's at least 2 or 3 average to shit ones in there, but these are all good to great. So happy about that. I'll talk about those when we go through the labels pretty soon. I did also pre-order The Cell and The Gift from Arrow, which come out this month. So I'll be probably expecting them by the end of January, early February. And The Seven Steelbook I did pre-order just last night because I don't have much, I want it because it is in my all-time top 10 favorite films. So Seven, I still remember seeing Seven at the cinema. And it blew me away. And that movie, I've seen it at least 15 times and still gives me chills. So that's a movie I must own and must upgrade for sure. So, yeah, I'm again going against a little bit of the upgrade standoff. But, yeah, like I said, Seven is an all-timer. So I'll be happy to upgrade that.
And I'm pretty sure that transfer is going to be next level because I did watch
Yes.
I reckon, early last year,
Yeah.
and I just thought, yeah, I can see this needs some work, and
Yeah.
I reckon if it did get the 4K, the same as Fight Club, I reckon
Yes.
that will look stunning as well when it gets the 4K
Yep.
and treatment it deserves. But I wouldn't hesitate to upgrade that one because it's just a
No.
classic film. It doesn't matter how
Oh,
many times you watch it; it's just
still get chills, man.
still like you're watching it for the first time. It
Yeah.
has that vibe.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's even the opening and closing credits of that movie are worth sitting down for. Like, honestly, like it's from go to woe, that film is impeccable. And knowing, I think I've spoken about it on this show before. I've certainly spoken about it before somewhere, but David Fincher has this issue with his eye for detail. So having him actually oversee the transfer and getting to fix the issues that he wanted to have fixed but couldn't before, this is going to be, I have a lot of faith that this is going to be a spectacular looking film. Yeah. Yeah. So that wraps up the comings and goings, arrivals and departures. Did you want to, I'm going to let you speak about we're going to talk about our labels now, what's coming from our labels. On over to you.
well, we'll just go straight for the jugular and
Mm.
crack into 88 films because I think it was last episode we were just on the outskirts of their drop, but
We were.
because of the time difference, we didn't really get to talk about it. So a lot of these are for, I think some are for March, just going by what I saw yesterday. So we got Witch from Nepal, Jackie Chan's Miracles.
Mhm.
They're also doing 964 Pinocchio, which I did see another label putting that out. So once again, two different labels doing the same film.
Yeah. Yep.
Hong Kong, Hong Kong. There is a lot of Asian cinema in here, as always. It wouldn't be an 88 drop if there wasn't. An Amorous Woman of Tang Dynasty. Castaway, not to be confused with the Tom Hanks one. And this is an older version of Castaway. Center Stage, Full Body Massage, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, which is one of the Slasher Classics collection, which they do some really good underground releases in that. Short Night of Glass Dolls, Girl Hell, Assault Jack the Ripper, and lastly, The Lady's the Boss.
Mm.
So 88 films just crush it with their drops. They
They
bring
do.
out a massive slate for every month. So sort of like Umbrella, I
Mm.
saw they put up a post how they put out more releases last year than any other label on the planet. And they really do. They just put out a lot of movies. I mean, it's great. They did loads of Blu-ray stuff last year and more 4K stuff coming. So that's pretty much what I got for 88 for
Yep.
next coming up in March.
It's no surprise that I've not heard of pretty much any of those. But I am
Yeah.
interested in anything Jackie Chan. I do like my Jackie Chan. I got to watch Project A Part 1 over my Christmas holidays, which end 2 days. Don't start me crying. And I need to watch Part 2 as soon as I can. And that'll be next on my list. But I love Jackie Chan. That guy's just a hero, honestly. Anyway, over to me and Arrow. I'm not sure if, mate. I'm pretty sure these went, and we didn't talk about these in our December edition, but I'm going to talk about them again anyway. But Arrow announced Dress to Kill, which also I have the Kino Lorber release of Dress to Kill, so I'm not going to bother picking up the Arrow one. Another one I'm not going to bother picking up because I just recently got a Deep Blue Sea, and I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not upgrading stuff I'm not going to watch very often. Is Deep Blue Sea as mad and as that's a fun ass movie. It's funny in places it shouldn't be funny. It's a very memorable film, but it's not worth an upgrade for me. I'm sure it'll be very popular though. Are you going to grab that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That one, I've got a real soft spot for that one. Like I saw that at
Mm,
the cinema. I'm pretty sure
I think I did.
the 4K upgrade will be worth it.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray,
With Arrow doing it.
it's not great,
Okay.
and especially for the effects they were doing back then, which were next level. They're
Yeah.
not next level now.
No.
So that's a bit sketchy going into it
Yeah.
because some of these 4K effects, when they go back over them, and
It
juice them
could
up,
ruin it. Yeah.
it could make it look terrible. So I may not get rid of that Blu-ray yet,
Yes.
but I still want to
Into
get it. I reckon it's a fat box.
Yeah.
I like the fat box Arrow releases, so I'm definitely keen to get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else
Okay.
have you got on the Arrow?
Yeah, Arrow also have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which I still think is one of the best horror sequels of all time. That movie's just batshit crazy. I won't be
Really?
upgrading it though. I do have a Blu-ray, so again, can see why it's popular. I think it's been released on 4K somewhere else as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Vinegar did it.
Vinegar did it, did it? Okay.
Because I only
Cool.
watched it a couple months ago. I'd never seen it before, and I was just blown away. I was like,
It's
"This is just so fucking good."
I
It's
know. It's batshit. That's great. Yeah. And it's Toby Hooper going, I don't want to direct this, but I'm going to make you pay for it. I love those type of sequels. And we've also got Cruising, Al Pacino movie, which I don't think I've ever seen Cruising, but that could be a get at some point. I'm not going to hurry to get that though. Hopefully it doesn't sell a mint and then by Black Friday this year, it might be cheaper. I'm not going to rush to that. One that does interest me, though, is a 70s Giallo film from Lucio Fulci, Don't Torture a Duckling, which sounds weird, but it's really highly rated on IMDb. And I've been collecting quite a bit of Giallo lately, and I do plan to do a tear on that Giallo stuff at some point this year. Don't know when, but probably after award season, and I catch up on all the award season movies, which plan to do a bit this month as well. So that's all I've got for Arrow. For me personally, it was worth noting. I haven't noted anything else. Any comments, thoughts, comments?
I've never seen Cruising either, but that's another set that I think will be in a fat box.
Yeah.
So I probably would get it. I mean, Al Pacino, his early stuff is like Dog Day Afternoon. I really hope that gets a 4K one day because it's a pretty good film.
Yes.
I've never heard of the Duckling film either. So there's films like that just come out and you've never heard of them. It's like, where do they dig these films out? It's like,
Giallo's been a very good money spinner for them, I think, because they've introduced a lot of people to Giallo. So I think that's where it's coming from, is that they go, okay, we're just going to keep finding these things.
well,
Yeah.
the Giallo films, not just for them. I mean, there's a lot of other labels that keep putting them out. I know, Vinegar has all their, I think it's called Forgotten Giallo.
Yes.
And they're like volume 5.
Yep.
There might be a volume 6 by now, but those films they're big to a lot of people.
They
I've
are.
never really seen many of them. I don't know if I own any Giallo films, but yeah, it's not to say I wouldn't enjoy them. It's just I've never been into them. So
I've seen a lot. I've seen I think one proper Giallo, and I can't remember. It's got Sam Neill in it. What the hell was that? Oh, is that Possessor? One of those.
Possession.
Yeah.
So that's a Giallo film, is it?
That's a Giallo, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically it's kind of a loose term, but I mean Giallo is yellow in Italian, but there's a history behind it which I've read a little bit about. I'm certainly no expert on it, but it's basically like crime whodunits, basically where it's generally a woman gets killed and then it's kind of like a mystery thriller type. It's a very broad type of, it encompasses quite a few things.
Yeah.
So but it's effectively if it's Italian style crime, mystery thriller, murder stuff, a bit gory as well. It has to be kind of be included in there. There are like Brian De Palma was influenced a lot by Giallo. Like Dress to Kill is a Giallo. So is Body Double. They're Giallo films, but American Giallo.
Yeah.
So if you like those type of films where they're kind of schlocky and whatnot, then yeah, Giallo's probably up your alley, especially if some of the better ones. Like Argento was kind of the godfather of that genre.
Yeah.
But there's a few others in there, obviously, as well, like Fulci and whatnot. Yeah.
No.
If you want to get expert advice on what, listen to Eli Roth. That guy knows so much. But it's very impressive. They did a whole on Quentin Tarantino's podcast. They did a whole episode on Giallo with their guest star in the season 1 video archives. If anyone listening to this wants to track that down and get a hint of what Giallo is, then that's a great episode to listen to. Yeah.
I have heard of that, but I haven't I haven't listened to any of it.
They've fucked up with season 2, in my opinion, because they normally watch 3 movies and then talk about them, and it was always a great conversation. But now they cut it off after the first movie, and the rest you have to pay for through Patreon. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, it's like Tarantino needs the money. They're already getting paid from there. I mean, it's not Tarantino getting that money. They're just recouping the money from whatever the network is that they're part of. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
what's your next label?
So I didn't talk about 101 last episode because honestly, there just wasn't anything to chat about. And even now, still not a lot, but the ones that I did see on, because they've got their different like labels in the label. So the ones I'm looking at are the 101 Black Label releases.
Oh, yeah.
Mansion of the Doomed, Fear City, and they were the only 2 like new pre-orders that are out. What is it? The Stone Tapes. I did talk about that. That's actually sold out on their website.
Oh, wow.
And I'm gonna struggle to say this again, and I want you to correct me anyway, because that would be great. The On Sandies.
On Sunday, yeah.
Yep, which I still haven't watched it.
You can say Incendies, it's fine.
But that's also now sold out on their website, the box.
Ooh.
But there's a pre-order for the standard edition 4K.
Yep.
That's about it. I mean, they do have, if you're really into the 101 stuff, they do have some specials on at the minute, which might not be on when you hear this, like you were talking about before with Easy Dead. But anyway, mention it anyway. But yeah, they had like, films for like $14, $16. So really if that's conversion to Australian, they might be like $25. So yeah, some cheap stuff on there nonetheless. But yeah, that's all I could really see for 101 at the minute. They don't really put out a lot of releases, but the stuff they do put out is pretty solid stuff.
Cool.
So what's next on the radar for you, Adam?
Now I just need to find my note again. I can't find my note again on my stupid desktop here. So I was noting down something. Oh, here we go. So we're up to Criterion. Criterion is going to be a quick one. Because again, I'm just talking about what interests me, and they've announced. So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Night Moves, the Gene Hackman movie, that interests me because I've heard about that a bit. I've never seen it. I mean, keen to. That'll be a good release. I think that's notable to talk about. Again, I don't know a lot about it. Have you ever seen Night Moves?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I did pick up that Gene Hackman imprint box.
Is that in there?
I'm not 100% sure if it is. There's, I think, 4. I think it's 4 films in that one.
Okay.
But I'd have to look at it again later. But I did see that's coming out, and that's one of his bigger films that was really good back in the day. So
yeah, like it's a private investigator film. So yeah, it sounds interesting. It's 7.1 on IMDb. I mean, that's very good for IMDb. The next one for Criterion is Thief, which I've raved about enough on this movie. So I will be absolutely ordering Thief, the 4K, because that movie is, man, I think Michael Mann overall is a bit overrated. I'm not a big Michael Mann fan, but Thief it's his debut film, and it's spectacular. It's so good. Such a vibe. And the last one, I kind of only add this in because I'm into the Godzilla stuff, and I've not seen any old Godzilla original stuff, but they're doing Godzilla versus Biolante. I'm going to pronounce it. I'm probably very wrong because there's a Biolante. I don't know, but anyway, that's what I'm saying. I don't know jack about that. Are you into the Godzilla stuff, especially the original-ish stuff?
Not really. I mean, I think I have seen Godzilla, the 90s Godzilla, but everyone's kind of losing their brains over the Godzilla stuff, and
yeah,
I'm just sitting back here going, oh, yeah.
I like the modern Godzilla, like the Legendary series. I love those films, and laugh at me all you want, but I think they're fun as shit, and that's what you go to the movies for sometimes, is have some fun. And these modern ones, the Godzilla, Kong, and that's watching big creatures beat the shit out of each other, and with a bit of human stuff thrown in, which is not always great, but they're fun movies. Like, they just switch your brain off and tune out. So yeah, and also the series on Apple TV, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, which ties into that modern series, is great. Like I really enjoyed that. Kurt Russell's in it, so if you have Apple TV, watch Monarch, especially if you're into the Godzilla stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the streaming platforms we don't have. I know,
it's
like
a must.
my dad's got it,
Yep,
and he says there's great stuff on there, and there's
it's
some pretty good stuff that I have seen go on there,
oh
but just never got
yeah.
it.
I honestly can't talk up Apple TV enough, and how I know this is a physical media show, but if you everyone's got streamers, so we're not kicking the dog or anything. But if there's any streamer you should have, it's Apple, because they have the best of, 'cause everything they make is original content. They don't have any licensing for anything. I mean, they do license some, especially kids stuff. Like there is, but they make their own original content from it. Like they redid some Fraggle Rock, they redid some Snoopy stuff, but everything is in-house. There's nothing that they've licensed so you can just go watch it like a movie from somewhere else. It's all their stuff.
Yeah.
And everything's 4K, everything's Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. So if you're into that, everything they make is in that format. So everything looks pristine. It's beautiful. Like the production value is a great science fiction. If you're into science fiction, Silo, really good. Foundation, spectacular. The best science fiction show I've ever seen. Like it's just, I could talk about Apple TV for ages. If they not, this is obviously not sponsored, but I could talk about, yeah, just could go on for ages about it. Shrinking is the show they've got 2 seasons of. It's just the last 2 years has come out. Shrink with Harrison Ford. Some of Harrison Ford's best performances of his life in this show. Very funny. Like it's just one of those heartwarming. I don't know. It's just a great show and a great streamer. I have ranted long enough. It is early morning, and I need to hand over to you. Look. I tried to sell you on Amazon, and now I'm trying to sell you on Apple TV. These people need to
You
start
are in
paying
the
me for bigging them
you're in the
up.
wrong business.
I am. I'm not a salesman's asshole, to be honest, as you could probably tell by me just trailing off at the end there. But yeah, they
Well, you never know. I mean, your job career could be changing.
look. As long as I have to do less for more, then I'm happy. That's what everyone wants, right?
If it pays for the physical media, I reckon it's a good thing.
Yeah, that would be good. Up
Um,
to you. No, your next one.
Next one, another small one, Cape Light.
Mm.
They're doing a Fargo 2-disc 4K media book. So I know,
Mm.
I think was it Shout did Fargo on 4K last year.
Which I'm waiting for the price to reduce for that.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen Fargo.
Oh, I would upgrade Fargo. Fargo's an all-timer. It's glorious.
Because that has Frances
Yeah,
McDormand.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
After
you need
seeing
to.
her in 3 billboards, wow, she's just incredible.
You
What an
should see. You should see just for the Coen brothers of it. Honestly,
I do need to get it and watch it because I know it's a classic. I've heard this from
yeah.
many different people, so I do need to get that. And also they're doing a Rain Man 2-disc 4K
Oh,
as well,
interesting.
which is another one that I wanted to pick up. I haven't picked up yet. I do have it on Blu-ray, but I have heard this new 4K is quite good. But yeah, they're the only 2 new pre-orders that they had up on the site.
Good ones though. Interesting.
Oh,
I don't think I'd bother upgrading Rain Man. I love that movie, but don't think it needs a 4K specifically. Fargo, because of the scenery and that, would be glorious in 4K. So my next label then is a big one, and there's going to be stuff I've missed and stuff that's been semi-announced but not official. As always with Kino Lorber, they leak a lot, but they don't put on their site. So I'm only going to talk about stuff they put on their site, as I say every time.
yeah.
So I think I spoke about this last time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but April Fool's Day, because that comes out actually this month. It comes out in a few weeks. And that's something that looks interesting to me, April Fool's Day. The next one I think I also spoke about was Reindeer Games.
Yeah.
And the next one is Black Sheep, which is because Tommy Boy's getting a 4K from, I can't remember what label, but Kino are doing Black Sheep, the other movie, the lesser movie of the Chris Farley, David Spade ones. Paul, which Paul is the Seth Rogen, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost reuniting the Alien film, which is kind of underappreciated in its time, Paul, but Paul's pretty good. Like it's pretty funny. Not sure if I want a 4K of that though. Feel free to interject any time with your comments with any thoughts on these. I know you were big
I
on Paul.
really like Paul. Paul's a great movie.
Yeah, Paul is good.
I do have that on Blu-ray. I think we were chatting about this,
Yeah.
about they probably won't have the extended cut on 4K, just
Mm,
the regular cut, which is a bit of a shit that they do that. Not many
mm,
4K releases with the both editions of a film will,
yeah.
the extended one just doesn't get the 4K. One I think off the top of my head is The Town.
Ah, right.
The extended cut of that is only on the Blu-ray, not the 4K. Yeah, I picked that up. Oh, it was a while ago because that's been out of print, the Australian one, for ages. I mean, I got that off eBay, but
Huh.
that's a great film. I reckon the extended cut is the one you would want to see. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
unreal. But yeah, Kino, like, if I was to add anything to that, I honestly couldn't think of anything because they keep pumping them out, and it's just gold.
They do, don't they?
No,
They're
I don't think there's any releases they've put out even recently that I'm like, what the fuck is with that? Why would they put that
yeah,
out? It's just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yes, they're
yeah.
bringing that out. Woohoo!
Even
You
if
know?
it's one you go, I've never heard of that, but you look it up and go, yeah, that's great. Like, bring it on. And I'll talk about one of those in a sec. Not this next one. Posse is one they've got coming, which
Oh
I've
yeah.
heard. Another ones I've heard of, don't know much about, but the next one really interests me, which I'd never heard of. But it's called Murder by Decree, and it's basically Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper.
Yep.
Completely made up. It's got Donald Sutherland in it and a few other big names. But I just look at that and go, yeah, I want that. That looks really interesting. Yeah. The next one is probably John Candy's best movie, Uncle Buck, getting a
Oh,
4K, which is incredible. Uncle Buck.
yep.
I actually picked up a Blu-ray of that from like an op shop, a Lifeline, middle of last year because I was Uncle Buck on Blu-ray. You can never get that. That is rare as
Mm.
hen's teeth. So I picked that up, and now it's getting a 4K because that's how my life goes. You got any memories
Oh,
of Uncle Buck?
I haven't seen that for a really, really long time. And Kino were talking about putting that out a long, long time ago, as they do.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this movie," and a year later, "Oh, yeah, we're still putting it out. It's coming."
Yes,
It,
that's why I don't when they're announced by like Dawn of the Discs or whatever. That's why I don't talk about them in the show until I can see them on their website. So
Mm.
it's not, yeah, it's not worth the not that it's not worth the effort. It's just not worth talking about it until it's concrete, I would say. What's next in the list there? If I just get my mouse right. Graveyard Shift, Stephen King one. I'm very keen for that. I love my Stephen
Yep.
King. Even his bad stuff is good to have. Late last year, which I never picked them up, and I've not seen them in store. Again, not that I've looked for them, but they released on DVD like The Langoliers again, and which is a terrible, terrible movie. But I remember reading the short story because I like Stephen King's short stories, kind of more than his novels, most of his novels. But Graveyard Shift, yeah, I love that type of work. When not Creep Show, that type of work of Stephen King's, I'm down for it. Long story short, we might have spoken about this, but it's official now. Is Hot Pursuit, which is the John Cusack film, right?
Yep.
It's getting a Blu-ray. Didn't we?
I'm definitely keen for that because that's only really been on VHS and
Yeah.
maybe if you're lucky DVD.
Yep.
So I'm super excited about that because I haven't seen that in ages. And I think the last time I did watch it, I downloaded it off the net when
Oh,
I
yeah.
used to download shit. So
Yeah.
that's a great film. His
Mm.
80s work is just they're just fun films to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one is Body Parts, the 1991 film.
Oh
Looks
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that. I may have, but it was like early 90s, so I don't know. I can't remember back that far. But yeah, it sounds interesting. Good
it
enough
is
to mention.
it's a it's a fun film to watch. Like if you don't take it too seriously and you just take
Hmm.
it for what it is. I picked up the imprint version of that. This was a couple of years ago now.
Right.
So they've already re-dished that back out because the slipcover version sold out, and then they just do it with the regular cover. But yeah, it's a good old school Jeff Fay film.
Yeah.
Jeff Bay doesn't get enough love, I don't think. And he's done a massive body of work like back in the 80s and
Mm,
90s. You don't really hear it too much about him anymore, but he's still out there working. Like,
yeah.
but his older stuff is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, and he's got one of those very familiar faces. I know I've seen him in lots of stuff. The next one it interests me, probably interests me more than it will interest you. But it's called Arabesque. It's a 1966 film, and the reason it interests me is because Stanley Donen is the director. So he directed Charade and Singing in the Rain, Funny Face, like he's one of those big name classic directors. It also stars Gregory Peck and Sophia Loren. So, and it's about international intrigue in London. Yeah, it sounds interesting. It's one I'd be keen to pick up, but it is only on a Blu-ray, which means it's going to be region locked. So
Yes, all the Kino Blu-rays are Region
yeah,
A, unfortunately. I don't think I've seen any of their releases on the Blu-ray that are ABC.
yeah, no, and they won't be because even on their website they don't ship internationally, only ship to North America because of licensing. They just can't do it. So that's why you've got to parallel import these things. Sadly, if I mean I have a region-free player, so if Rick happens to get it in, if someone happens to parallel import it, it'd probably be something I'd pick up, to be honest. But it's unlikely. I don't imagine seeing that. That might be on Amazon cheap and come Prime Day. Who knows? The next one is one I think we had discussed speculatively wise was Daylight, the 90s Sylvester Stallone film, which I'm keen actually, because I remember
Yeah.
watching that and going, this was all right. But that was when I was, in my mid-teens and not as educated as I am now. It's probably a good bad film like Demolition Man, but I reckon I'll grab that. That sounds like a good pickup. And the next one is one that I remember really liking. I think I was working at the video store when I watched this. John Travolta, The General's Daughter,
Yeah.
Katie Holmes. Yeah, that's a big release. I think that's a great title because, again, a lot of these. This is why I love Kino, and because they cater to people like me and you who kind of grew up and fell in love with films more in the 90s. I would
Hmm.
say, like we were a bit older in the 90s. Grew up in the 80s, but lived through the 90s, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll watch more film. Yeah, and The General's Daughter that's what Kino do best. And I guess the list of those films I've just read out, most of them are 90s films in, early or late. So yeah, I love Kino for that. Fingers crossed we can get some of their releases in Australia at some point. Any thoughts, or do you want to launch into your next one?
I'm definitely keen for Daylight. I love that movie.
Mm.
I've got that on Blu-ray
Oh yeah.
a shock release, which I got many years ago now, and I saw that at the cinema with my dad. We
Yeah,
won
cool.
tickets to go see it, and it was great at the cinema because it's like a big set piece film.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I reckon that will look good in 4K. I haven't seen The General's Daughter in a bloody long time. Probably not since it was out on VHS. I definitely picked that up. I like John Travolta. His
Yeah.
films are great. He's done hit and miss films, but 9 times out of 10, pretty consistent.
90s John Travolta was peak John Travolta. Well, not peak John Travolta, but 90s John Travolta was great. Like he did make good choices. He had good management.
For
So
sure.
IMDb is just not working.
I
Why?
mean, since he did Pulp Fiction, it sort of really put him back out there. The films that he did, like
Yeah.
Face Off, Broken Arrow. I mean,
Mm.
that's a guilty pleasure watch.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's just a good action movie.
Yeah.
He did a lot of stuff like that. So, you know, definitely good to see. But yeah, the next one I've got, which once again was out of the time zone for us to talk about, was Eureka. A lot of weird and wonderful stuff that probably haven't heard of. Sort of like 88. They just find these films and just
Yeah.
put them back out into society. Whether they should, who knows? But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Whether that's it.
Legend of the Eight Samurai is one circ in Germany, 1934 to 1935. Don't know anything about that. Dr. Vampire, The Daredevils, and Odetto Gallantry,
Mm.
Shaolin Boxers, and Marboos Lives box set, which is the
Yeah.
film of Fritz Lang, which are super old.
Yes.
But
You probably get them on YouTube, to be honest. But yeah.
they still rate high on the IMDb. Like I had
Mm.
a brief look, and a lot of them are in the sevens. So yeah, that's pretty much all I could see that was new from Eureka from the previous episode that we were talking about those new ones they were
Yep.
putting out. Yeah, they're like sort of like 88. They really put out some obscure stuff that you've just never heard of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you have heard of them, well, you're going to be frothing at the gills for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And it's great that someone's putting that stuff out there in the world because it's introducing people to new things. And my next label is a great example of that is Umbrella, especially with their Asian
That
cinema that they introduced. Like I've got a short list for Umbrella this time around. This is the April releases. Is Daybreakers. Which is an Australian film that everyone seems. I've never seen Daybreakers. Everyone seems to be shitting themselves about that, dropping nuggets, as we say here. But that's getting a 4K release in Australia. So
there's a mass of nugget dropping on Daybreakers.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I've seen it a long time ago. I remember enjoying it. Yeah, am I dropping nuggets over it? No.
yeah,
I'll probably pick it up purely just because it's a 4K from Umbrella, and I reckon that's amazing that they're really getting into that now, and it's not just a Blu-ray brick box with art
yeah.
cards and
Oh, there are
um,
art cards if you pay for the
a,
big one.
a lack of keyrings. So yeah, I mean it is pretty good. I mean that was a big title that they were putting out.
Yeah,
People were talking about it before they dropped that and going, "Oh, I hope it's Daybreakers," and blah blah blah. And sure enough,
yeah.
it was.
Some people guess very well with those things. I notice it a lot. Like, yeah. Anyway, I think there might be people on the inside who already know, though. To be honest, just get some buzz created. And the next one from them is Control, which I'd never heard. I don't think I've heard of this movie before.
Great film.
Is it?
I, yeah, it's an absolute brutal film.
Okay.
Obviously, because it's to do with a true
Ah,
story. So,
yeah. Joy Division. Right.
so yeah, you have to see it. It's great. Um,
Okay.
If you could track it down to watch it first, if you didn't want to buy it,
Yep.
and see what you think, but I reckon you'll like it.
Odds
It's
are they'll put it on Broly at some point. They do that with a lot of their releases. They put them on
mm,
Broly. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, but it looked interesting. There was also got Black Death, which does look interesting. Honestly, they actually looking at the box here now on their website. I don't know if that's an art. There's some artwork in there that's very reminiscent of like 88 films type of artwork. I don't know if it's an art card or not, but it's something, and it
oh,
looks
it
it looks
it'd be an
stunning.
art for sure.
It's a 48-page book in this collection. So yeah, so it's the same guy who directed Creep, Triangle, and Severance, which is now they've got another one of his called Black Death. And I think I've only seen Triangle out of those, and Triangle was pretty cool. I quite like Triangle. Surprised me.
Severance is good.
Yeah.
I hired that a long time ago now. Yeah, just a really fun, stupid film, highly violent. It's worth checking out for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, Black Death looks cool. It's obviously about the plague or something kind. I didn't have time to read it. There's another one called Grafted, which I don't know much about.
No, I hadn't
This
heard of that
is
either.
Yeah, it's a Chinese scholarship student. Wei travels in New Zealand, so sounds like it's a New Zealand film. Yeah, that doesn't star anyone I know, but it does sound interesting, to be honest. And one last one I'll mention is You Should Have Been Here Yesterday, which is another Blu-ray edition with some lovely art cards. It does have posters, 48-page book. Did anyone read those 48-page book? Hit me up in the comments if you do, because I mean, I have some of those, and I opened one up yesterday that had a 48-page book. What movie did I watch yesterday? Anyway, it's this Last Starfighter, and no, I didn't read it. I flicked through it, but anyway, this is a surfing movie, so if you're into surfing, get that
I,
up here.
I will probably get that because I like surfing
Hmm.
movies. I've got a couple, and even like that surfing doco that I got from Vinegar, I think Hangs Upon Nothing,
Yeah.
which is super cool. There's that much visual stuff to take in, but the soundtrack with it is just great. You could just kick back and listen to that for
Yeah. Okay.
80 minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, I reckon I would get that surfing one because it'd be pretty good.
Okay. Well, that's all I've got for umbrella. What's your next one?
Well, I've saved the best for last. You've probably guessed what it is, but the vinegar syndrome.
Let's
So
do it.
vinegar right now is in subscriber week, which they do at the start of every year from 12:01 a.m. January 1st. Our time is January 2nd at 4 in the morning. So basically, I've driven Leah crazy for the past 3 days and will continue to drive her nuts, getting up at 3:55 to check out the daily deals with heavily discounted titles, like older titles that they've got
Mm.
at 60% off, 70% off,
Wow.
and they're releasing like a new title each day from some of their different like cinematography, VSAs, VSUs. And so yeah, the first day they put out their 16 partner labels, the new VSU title, and new merch as well. So basically this isn't everything because it's coming out each day. There's new stuff. So basically,
Mhm.
what we've got so far, so from day one, the VSU is Virtuosity,
Yeah.
which I jumped on that because I watched the Blu-ray of that, which I've got, and it was pretty bodgy. So anything like that virtual reality stuff, I think in 4K will look pretty phenomenal. And I really hope that one day Lawnmower Man gets that treatment
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because the edition I got of that, it still looks great on Blu-ray, but I reckon 4K would just really snap it out. They also brought out one called Deranged, which has Robert Blossoms in it.
Robert Blossoms.
Yeah, so
Never heard of
he's
that too.
well, you would know Marley from Home Alone, Old Man Marley. It's
Oh
him.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
okay.
I didn't
Gotcha.
know this either, and I didn't realize what the film was about because I'd never heard of it. But it is a 4K release, which is great. But it's based on Ed Gein, and from that
Oh,
point,
right.
sold. I haven't
Yeah,
bought it
right.
yet. I will. But anything that's based on Ed Gein, I'm
Yep.
highly fascinated by that. So that's definitely going to be one I'll get probably next week. The Seventh Curse or Witch from Nepal. So that's some more Asian cinema. Another triple header pack, Curse of the Devil, The Vampire's Night Orgy, and Demon Witch Child. So some interesting titles there. The cinematography release that they put out yesterday, which I grabbed, Bang the Drum Slowly. I haven't heard of that, but it's a baseball movie and it's meant to be one of the greatest sports films of all time.
Ah, okay.
And this is back in so it's 73, 74, and it's got Robert De Niro in it.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say it kind of does ring a bell. I might have heard someone else talk about it
it did
on another.
sound like the title sounded familiar when I read it, and then I read up on it, and I just thought, well, because I'm just crazy OCD with collecting sets, it's a no-brainer that I'm going to grab it.
Okay.
Um, it's like their last cinematography release was Who Killed Teddy Bear? Like it's an old one, but I've never seen it, obviously, because it's an old film. But yeah, the other cinematography release is going to be so that's a 4K, but the Blu-ray
Hmm.
version of whatever's coming out for the 13th title will be on the last day of the subscriber week. So this is the only time of the year you can actually become a subscriber, and
Oh,
it's super
I,
expensive. So
I was gonna say, how can you explain or the subscriber situation with Vinegar Syndrome? So you can't subscribe to them at any other time during the year, only this week. And
only this week. So basically,
how much does it
I'm not
cost?
I'm not a subscriber, but I'm a member. So I'm a member and over
Right.
paying. I think I've bought $1,700 worth of film from them now, which is a lot. I'm up to the 35 millimeter tier. So
Okay.
I didn't even realize that until they sent me an email. But basically, I gain points. So, like you sent me that link, the Demon Rat Standard Edition. If you want to get that, you can use 3,000 points to get it because it's actually sold out. You can't actually buy that now.
Right.
So there's different slip covers they're reissuing that you can get with points, and most of them are 1,500 points each. So I've got a couple of them. But yeah, basically, becoming a subscriber to Vinegar, you get a whole slate of their films that are within the subscription package. There are
So for free.
special, yeah. So you pay this subscription, which I think is
I'm looking.
between
It's $1,040 at the moment, half
yeah
price. I'm looking at
with the
1,200 for
conversion,
international. Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be
3 grand.
$1,500.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So at the moment it's half price. So it's $1,240 American, which is going to be what, 1,600 Australian. So you'd want to get a bit for that then, right?
Yeah, so you get near all the standard releases they put out. If there's some really special ones that aren't in the subscription, they say that in the write up on the release.
And
So
so, sorry,
it was
I
really
just have a
good.
question. Do they send that to you without you ordering? They just send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. So
Ah,
they'll send out your subscription order
right.
every month. You will be, if you're a subscriber, you'll get your order sent out before anyone else. So yeah, for a whole year, you will get the subscription releases.
That's amazing.
It's great value. Don't get me wrong, but the amount of obscure releases that they do, for me, it's not something I could invest in. I am gonna use 300 points to try and win a subscription. Why not? If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. It's 300 points. I don't really care. But all the daily deal specials at the moment, 5 times points. So, you know,
Yeah, right.
all the stuff I bought so far, I've already generated 1,000 points. So pretty cool. The new release for today is an old, I think it's from the 90s, I think. It's called Crack House. It's their VSA release. It's got Jim Brown in it. And it looks, like a gritty thriller, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Some of the partner label things to mention, they're doing a Once Were Warriors Blu-ray. I've already got
Okay.
that on Blu-ray, so
Yeah.
I didn't really bother with that. If that was a 4K, for sure, I would have
Yeah.
snapped that up straight away. One called Keanu and Co., which is 3 short films by Robert Fortier. And
Oh, yeah.
the one that Keanu's in, it's his first film he ever did. So
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
okay.
Another one that I picked up last night, which I had never heard of, is called Disembodied. Only 2,000 units of that, and they're already down to under 500. So
Right.
I kind of just went on a massive blind buy on that. It sounds like a bit of an LSD fueled trip into body horror at its worst. So who knows? It could be good, it could be bad, but it's
It's interesting.
meant to be really good from what I've read. Highly disgusting. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. So I grabbed that. Some of the other ones that I grabbed, I think that's all the ones I grabbed actually. Oh, another film called Surf 2, which has got Eddie Deason in it. He sort of creates this highly toxic cola to get back at these surfer dudes that are just right fucking dicks, and it turns them into mindless zombies. So more 80s gold there. But other than that, I did pick up a cinematography long sleeve, and it's called the I Love Popcorn long sleeve because it has a giant popcorn kernel on the front of it.
Okay.
And cinematography down the sleeve. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, the titles that I got in Christmas Eve from Vinegar
Mm.
from my last order, I got the Flesh for Frankenstein deluxe box, which has got 2 slip covers in it. So it's a pretty fat box. It's got all the 3D versions of it, 2D versions of it. I already had that, but I really wanted that box, and for $50, it was a no-brainer for me. The Keep, Michael Mann film that made the
I'm not
world stop for like a
yeah,
moment. I
yeah.
was pretty lucky to get that because I didn't
Mm.
get it on the first day, and then I waited till the Saturday, picked it up along with Sliver, and then Sunday it was sold out.
It was really interesting that it was such a massive hit that it was Via Vision that came out, or Imprint basically said, "Well, don't worry, we're releasing this in 2025 as well, right?"
Yeah.
So I reckon they're going to, if they had 1,500 copies as their planned run, they might do 3,000 now. I reckon because that's a FOMO is a mofo release, right?
Oh,
Apparently it's not. Apparently the movie's not very good, but for some reason it's Michael Mann. People shit themselves over Michael Mann. So
it's an interesting film. I didn't love it, but at the same time, I can appreciate for the time it came out, it would have been mind blowing and a
mm,
little bit disturbing. But it's still pretty good. Scott Glennon, he's pretty good in it. Ian McKellen, also
yeah,
incredibly young back
pre
then.
Gandalf. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pre Gandalf.
It is
um,
only 5.7 on IMDb.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not a good rating.
The brief synopsis: Nazis are forced to turn to a Jewish. God damn, Nazis are forced to turn to a Jewish historian for help in battling the ancient demon they have inadvertently freed from its prison. I mean, that's a pretty good log line. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds kind of cool.
Hmm.
So it might not have been executed very. I don't know. I
I
mean,
mean, visually it looks good.
Gabriel Byrne too, Robert Prosky. Like,
Oh,
who's got a cast? Yeah.
he's super
Jürgen
young in that
Prochnow.
too, and it looks good. The set pieces are great. I reckon they would have done a lot of model work in that, to
Yeah,
make those big sets look big, but with models. So it's worth checking out. But it's just interesting that it's sold out so quick, yet straight after it sells out, Imprint put up their
yeah,
deal and go, "Hey, we've got you
yeah,
covered." So
yeah,
that'll probably be like, I reckon, a lenticular box set for sure.
yeah. I
Um,
reckon they're probably working hard now to fancy it up so they can eke more money out, just printing off more art cards. I reckon.
oh yeah,
No key rings.
instead of getting 6 art cards, you might get 7.
Might get seven
Um,
and a 50-page book instead of 48.
that's it.
Oh,
Other than,
they might never ending story it and just go, okay, people want this film.
my
Let's
God,
charge them 250. Like, yeah, it's. I mean,
yeah. Even
I
with the
nearly.
discount, I can't do it.
I was kind of close to getting that never ending story. If I had seen it in a store, I'm glad I never did because I might have gone. Because during the sale it was like 180. I'm like, this is a pretty good set, and then I was like, nah. I'm so glad I dodged that bullet. I really am.
I didn't even think about it when it was 180 because I was just like,
It's
I
a
just
lot
can't.
for a movie, you know.
I can't do it. I love the film, but
Yeah,
I couldn't invest that much
nah.
into it, not for one movie.
Oh no, and I saw someone unpack it, and I'm like, geez, there's not a lot in there for that money. I mean,
It's just
you get the movies and the different versions of the movies, but
a massive book.
yeah, yeah. And how often are you going to sit down and watch every version of that movie, though? It's the same as the Caligula set, which I just watched the ultimate cut of that, and I don't think I'll ever watch the other cuts of that. I mean, Caligula was an interesting movie, but I don't think I'll ever watch it more than
Yeah,
three times, you know?
I, I had the standard slip edition in my hand last week. I could have
Yeah,
got it, and I've never seen it. I've heard it's pretty full on.
it can be.
For its time, it would have
Yeah,
been.
yeah,
Uh, but it was never one I was like running out to grab. Like,
yeah.
you
Man,
know,
I don't. I pre-ordered it when it was announced because I'd always wanted to see. I didn't get the big fancy fuck off version. I just got the basic, the cheap. I'll say in quotes $60 version, and that's more than good enough. And I mean, I'm not getting all that hoo ha and art cards for for a film I've never seen. If you're what I would class as if you're a cinephile, if you love movies, it's definitely a movie you need to see. Whether
yeah,
you need to see it twice, I don't know. That's going to be up to you when you watch it. I didn't mind it. It can be very confronting, not just from you see them acting, and then there's orgies going on in the background and just weird shit happening. But there's some other really confronting violence in that as well, as Roddy McDowall just goes the way of Paul Atreides, and power goes to his head when he gets it, and just becomes a right cunt of a person.
Yeah.
Is the honestly the best and cleanest way to say it. Yeah, it's a fascinating film. Yeah. Anyway, I've still got a bit to go with Via Vision. Are you still going with Vinegar?
I've got a couple more that in this order that I got. Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which
Yeah.
I spoke to you about that the other
You
day
did, yeah.
after we watched it. Incredible film, and my version didn't stop at 2 hours 4 minutes. I don't know what the deal was with that. Someone posted about it. I think maybe it was just their copy, but
Good film though.
that film is worth checking out and has one of the most intense endings I've seen in a film in a bloody long time. It's just
right.
turn your head inside out.
Okay.
Prospect, which I haven't watched yet, but it's got Pedro Pascal in it, so
Mm-hmm.
that I reckon that will be good. Dog Tags, which is the full uncut version of it. It's meant to be a pretty intense war film. Candy Mountain, which is a bit of a sort of a true story, I think. So that could be interesting, a bit of a muso film.
Okay.
Primal Rage, which is another baboon flick.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet. And Congo, which was just incredible. The transfer was mint. Well,
that's good to know.
It's absolutely mint, because I'm pretty sure you got the Blu-ray, didn't you? Not long ago.
No, I don't. No. I actually bought it on iTunes for like $5 because it was a film that popped in my head and I was looking for it everywhere. Could not find any decent version that was a reasonable price, and it was $5 on iTunes, so I grabbed that. And that's the time. That's when I will buy digitally if it's $5, and if it does come out at a later time, it's not a big effort to upgrade it because it would only cost me $5 anyway. So, and I'm a massive Michael Crichton fan. I read everything Michael Crichton back in the day, and some of his movies do let you down. Congo's one of them, and same as Sphere, but they're not as bad as if you watch them in a different light. They're not that bad. Sphere is quite good, quite engaging. It's a better version of Event Horizon, I'll tell you that. Event Horizon is a piece of shit. I would watch Sphere a million times more than I'd Event Horizon one more time. And Congo is just stupid, but funny as Congo is great just to watch Tim Curry just be completely fucking chewing every scene he's in.
Yeah.
I think even in my Letterboxd review I wrote, I don't know how the actors sitting opposite him were able to keep a straight face with the way he's acting and the accent he uses, and just everything. Tim Curry being awesome, but mind you, if an actor sitting up, I'd love to see outtakes of that movie, and just people just dying laughing at him being him. Like and he's not being funny deliberately. Obviously, he's not. He just is funny because of the act he's putting on. It's mind blowing, and I love Congo just for that. Among some of the other stupidity, but yeah, it's great hammy fun, and I would love to get that box set, but I don't want to pay $80 for that. No way in hell. If we get a 4K down the track from someone else that's able to get a license, like who else has released Vinegar Syndrome stuff? Like Arrow might do a license for that and release it for 40 or 50. Like, cool, okay, let's do that. Yeah. Anyway,
I haven't really seen many of the Vinegar titles put out by other people.
no, they do, because they do such fucking eclectic stuff, though, right? They do a lot of stuff that they just kind of pick up the scraps that other people reject. Not everything is scrappy, but for the most part, just random stuff.
Well, you know that Umbrella is one of their partner labels.
No, I didn't know
Did
that.
you know that?
No. So maybe Umbrella. Well, Umbrella did do a Blu-ray of Congo, didn't they? I missed that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I reckon Umbrella put that out. That was, I reckon, about 2 years ago, because I had seen it at the JB in Rosny here since I lived here. I didn't pick it up though, but yeah, they've got some deluxe editions on the VS site. They put out, like Death in Brunswick is one of them.
Yeah, okay.
So they've all got deluxe slips.
That's good to know.
If they're still available.
Yeah.
They did Undead.
Yeah.
Another one called Nightmares. I think it's called Nightmares. I think they did. Is it called Shame? like another.
Is that the
Hold
Fassbender Shane? There's a few movies
No,
called
no,
Shane.
this has
Okay.
got a chick in it. I haven't seen it,
Right.
but it was one of the Sunburnt Classic releases.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a couple of them that they put out. I think they got about 10 different titles that they put out as a partner label. So that happened maybe a year or so ago. So
Okay.
very big for Umbrella to be
So
a part of that.
So is it likely then that Umbrella might do an Australian release of Congo, like of a
Possibly.
4K? Okay,
I mean,
that'd be cool. Yeah.
they put out the Blu-ray. I can't see why they wouldn't. And it seems that
Yeah,
this
they'd like to
year
double dip. They would
they're
like to
going
have
to
people
do
double
more
dip. Yeah.
4Ks.
Okay.
So, we've seen that they're doing hardware. We've seen that, they're going to be doing the Salute of the Jugger, which
Yeah. Did
that'll
Vinegar
be
do
a
that
hands
before, did
down
they?
instant pre-order for me. I never thought that that film would ever get a release like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, that's all I had for the VS at the moment because,
Yep.
as I said, they're updating new titles each day. So
Mhm.
at 4:01 a.m., you can see some more gold. So, actually stayed up quite late last night. I think to about 2:30. I fell asleep. Then I
Mhm.
woke up and it was about 3:50, and then I fell asleep again. So I was there, but I wasn't, so I didn't get to
Yeah.
see what was really going on. But just some of the new releases, like I don't want to say I've got FOMO, but after that Keith
Yeah.
sellout,
Yeah.
if there is something that's really good, I would just want to jump on it quick. And hundreds of beavers, I would have got that. That's
Yeah.
completely sold out now. Can't even get the standard through them. But that was another one with the slip, it sold out like super quick. And
Crazy.
if I'd got up early, I could have got it.
Yep.
But I didn't think I needed to get up early to grab that. Well,
You'll be able to hopefully be able to pick it up. It'd be cool if Madman do a release. If anyone's going to release it in Australia, it'd be Madman.
yep.
It'd be great if they did because it's a film everyone needs to see. Like everyone. Like it's. I can't wait for you to see that film. I can't wait for everyone to see Hundreds of Beavers. I'm stoked I pre-ordered it when it was released in the UK on Blu-ray. Like I just got a slipcover of it from there, and I didn't think it would be as hard to come by or as popular as it is, but I'm glad I jumped on it when I did because I would have missed out as well. Yeah, it's absolutely a movie people need to be watching. On to Vision.
Yep.
Better pick up the pace. So as mentioned before, I've pre-ordered their March bundle. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned it in this show or before we recorded, Shane, but I did say that this March bundle pack, the 6 films that Vision are releasing in March, is probably the best as a collective I think I've seen them ever release. As in every film is at least good to great or very interesting. So included in that is Factory Girl, which is Sienna Miller and Guy Pearce. The Weight of Water, which is a Catherine Bigelow directed film with Sean Penn. In the Bedroom, which is Todd Field. He directed Tar recently, or in the last couple of years anyway, with blah, 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 Kate Blanchett. Todd Field has made some really good movies. So In the Bedroom has got a good reputation. Keen to get that. Shattered Glass, which has Hayden Christensen in it.
Yep.
So if you've watched the prequel Star Wars trilogy and think Hayden Christensen is a shit actor, watch this film and you'll realize that it's not Hayden's fault. It was George Lucas's writing that let those prequels down. Hayden's actually pretty good, and Shattered Glass is a cool movie. It's really good. Basically he's a journalist and fakes these stories and these sources to become a bigger name within his thing, and gets busted for it, basically. The next one is a movie I remember watching when I worked at the video store. It's called Savior with Dennis Quaid. It's about basically he's in the Foreign Legion during the Bosnian War, and it's a brutal film. I've only seen it the once, I think, and there's a particular scene in it that lives in my memory, which is, I don't know, it's very traumatizing, but it's a great film, and I'm so keen to watch that again, actually, and get a release of that is awesome. And another one is one that really interests me, which I've never seen, is called Man Bites Dog. It's a Betulin. Oh, it's a Belgian crime mockumentary. It sounds hilarious. It sounds really, really funny, and it's got a good reputation as well. So I wanted to, yeah. So they're the 6 that the big 6 from Vision that are coming. I do want to mention a couple of others. Any comments? Just butt in whenever you want.
That Shattered Glass, I'll definitely be getting that. I have
Yeah,
seen it. Is it that's based on a true story, isn't it?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. Great film. The Savior, I don't think I've seen it. I
You would
would
like
get it. I
Savior.
like Dennis Quaid,
Yeah, you would
so
like Savior. Yeah, it's up your alley for sure.
that is a no-brainer. I'll probably grab that. And Man Bites Dog, I haven't seen it, but there's loads of buzz for that film.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, there really
it's
is.
cult classic. It's had quite a few different releases over the years, but I think more so DVD. And
Yeah, yeah.
don't quote me on this, but I reckon way back in the day, I reckon Criterion put that out.
Oh, okay.
And it's totally a film that they would do. And I'm sure this was back when I picked up Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas on DVD that they put out. This big fat double disc set, and I reckon Man Bites Dog. I'm sure I saw that back then on Criterion.
Interesting. Probably.
Um,
It's a
but
good chance.
definitely a good one to get. I mean, that it's a massive bundle for them. Like
Yeah, yeah, it is.
banger
It's
titles all around.
I agree. There are a couple of other things I want to mention that Via Vision are doing, and the first one is these are only DVDs, mind you, and if you're not into DVD, understandable because I'm not either. But unless the circumstances really warrant it, but they're releasing Joan Crawford horror collection, and you know I love my old films, and Joan Crawford was one of the best. So these 4 films, it's $40 on their website. You'll probably get it cheaper, and probably 35 in JB, but Joan Crawford Horror Collection. I think that's great that they're doing stuff like this. I'm all for it. It'd just be cool if they upgraded them to Blu-ray though. But anyway, I'd be more inclined to buy it on Blu-ray than DVD. They're also just releasing a standard American Psycho 4K without all the bullshit blood pack and art cards. So it's still expensive because it's got 2 Blu-rays as well as the 4K. So it's still $70, but they're
Yeah,
releasing a different version of it. So which is great. They're also doing, what else have I got in my notes here? Daria. If a lot of people would remember the cartoon Daria, they've got
yeah.
the complete series of that coming on DVD, which I think is pretty
Wow.
interesting. Yeah, I mean a cartoon from the '90s on DVD is fine. That's an instance where I would be happy to buy that.
Yep.
Not that I will because I never watched Daria, but if I was into that, I would. They're also doing Tales from the Dark Side, the complete series on DVD. That's the original series from like 60s or something. Just clicking into it as we load. 1950. Actually, that's not true. 1956, I said, but that's the actual runtime. But it's a George A. Romero thing. So that's again, TV on DVD is fine by me for the most part. I'll get it on Blu-ray if I can, but the next one, they're doing a John Wayne Platinum Collection, which is 29 movies of John Wayne films, it's not cheap either. It's $160 on their website at the moment. But if you're into John Wayne, or if grandparents or mother are into John Wayne, I mean, that's pretty cool that they're releasing 29 different movies of his on DVD. But yeah, that's honorable mentions. There's other stuff on their website that they're releasing, but not shit that I'm into. Old 60s and 50s TV shows. $6 Million Man, for example, which I wasn't going to mention, the Fugitive complete series and Bionic Woman, the complete series. They're all going. I mean, no, if you want all of those, the Beverly Hillbillies seasons 1 to 5, like shit like that, the Love Boat, even. I mean, this is stuff that I don't know. I don't know. I have thoughts on it. I just don't know how to put those thoughts into word on those shows that they're releasing. Because I mean, it's cool that they're doing because it's not stuff that you can probably watch now on TV. That if people even watch TV anymore.
No, well, I mean, like Love Boat. I mean, that's something. It would be on TV, daytime TV maybe, and then it
Yeah,
won't be.
yeah, yeah.
It's like they put out the Prisoner box set, and I know
Yes.
Leah loves the show.
Yep.
I would love to buy that for her, but I can't justify $800
Yeah,
for
it's
that set.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
just it's nuts. It's
yeah,
absolutely nuts.
yeah,
And even
yeah,
like you were saying with the American Psycho, they're redoing
mm.
that. It's not the blood packs. It doesn't have the art cards. I mean, it does have American Psycho 2 in it. Do we really
Which you
need?
don't need that. No,
Do we really need that in our lives? No, it's
no.
terrible. But that blood pack was super expensive. I mean, I pre-ordered it. I
Yeah,
already had it
same.
on 4K, but I was like, wow, what a release.
Uh, yeah,
So, that's just going to be on my shelves as,
yep,
a bit of a piece.
yep.
But Yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited when I saw they're doing the war, which I tagged you in.
Oh yes, Elijah Wood film. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
I
mention that. Yeah,
don't think that's really had much of a Blu-ray release anywhere. I haven't
no,
seen
no.
another Kevin Costner one. I think it's called A Perfect World.
Ah yes,
That's had a Blu-ray overseas, but never seen that here.
yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if they put that out one day. I mean, that would be good to see. It'd be a good pickup.
Yeah, probably will. Probably will. Yeah, interesting. Okay, that's. Have you got any other labels to talk about? Because I've got
No,
a
dude.
couple of brief ones. Okay, I'll talk about Mad Men quickly. They're doing The Substance in 4K, but they're not until May, which I guess I don't know why, but I
It's
guess it is, but it isn't. I mean, because I don't think they anticipated the popularity of it. Because it is going to get Oscar nominations. Absolutely, it's got there's such an interesting story behind The Substance, which I could get into, but also not that Mad Men are releasing this, but also the fact that we're getting Honora in 4K, which is probably the favorite to win Best Picture at the Oscars at the moment. Honora is a great, great film. And I love the fact that Australia, because once upon a time, even within the last couple of years, we'd only get releases like that on DVD. Like Tar only got a DVD release in Australia, which was Oscar nominated Best Picture film. It had an Australian in it. It's a great film, but we only get the DVD. Babylon has an Australian as its major star. We didn't get a 4K of even Babylon in Australia. I'm one of the few cult people who love Babylon. But the fact we're getting The Substance at all on 4K in Australia is, I think it's great. With the fact that we get it in May, it's probably because of printing issues. There could be the fact that these things have to get classified in Australia because there might be extra special features on it. So it's not just that they've classified the Blu-ray release that we've got, because that would have been classified, but now the 4K is going to have special features, so they have to be classified. Then it has to be approved. There's a lot of toing and froing with all that type of malarkey, and then they have to get it then printed and blah blah blah, and then sent here. So May's, yeah, I mean it could probably be sooner, but they probably just push it out a bit to make it safe that that's when they can get it here. I just think it's great we're getting it anyway. Yeah, I love. I mean, people who come on and say physical media is dying, like go fuck yourselves. It's clearly not. It's really not. It's just becoming boutique, more boutique. There's no way in the world I would have thought we were going to get a Nora on 4K in Australia. That was something I would have planned to import. But I mean, yeah. Anyway, I'm loving it, and hopefully it's a trend that continues. And the next one is Memoir of a Snail, which is the stop motion Australian film. I'm not. You probably wouldn't have seen that yet. It's Adam Elliott. He's Oscar. I think he won the Oscar for Mary and Max a while back. But it's a Memoir of a Snail is great. It's just such a. I love stop motion, and this is a really good example of it. And Adam Elliott does really good stuff. Yeah, okay. I'll just say Megalopolis. Mad Men are doing Megalopolis. That comes out in February. A much derided film. It's a film that I've seen and am just nothing but fascinated by. It is, yeah, it's ostensibly it is a bad movie, but it's also a great movie. And give it years, and it's a film that needs to be studied. Francis Ford Coppola has just gone. He sold like one of his wineries to fund this movie because no one else would fund it. He even had to pay Lionsgate to distribute it because no distributor wanted to put it in theaters in America. It's the first time in history that a film has had to be paid for by the artist to be distributed, rather than the opposite. They pay the artist to distribute it. And it's been panned because it's just weird, man. It's just a fucking strange movie. It makes no sense. All the actors in it are just, I don't think they know what they're supposed to be doing, apart from Shia LaBeouf, who is one of the most underrated actors ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Adam Driver. I mean, I'll watch Adam Driver just sit in his car. I love anything that guy does. Well, sorry, that's not true. 65 is a piece of shit, but I love him as an actor. I love anything he's in. I think he's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the fact we're getting Megalopolis as a Blu-ray, that's an absolute must-buy for me. I just think it's fascinating, and it's a film that I will watch multiple times just to try and understand it, honestly, because it's weird as shit. And they also have Mad Men. This has been on the cards for a while. They've got it on their slate as the Blackadder series on Blu-ray, finally coming to Australia. It's been pushed back and pushed back for so long. I don't know whether it's on their website to come out next month, but I'm not sure if it's still going to happen. It's something I ended up importing during the Prime Day sales last year from the UK version of Blackadder on Blu-ray, which is it was like $60, and I think the DVDs for that are about 50. So why wouldn't you? But if we get that in Australia, that'd be great. I don't know why it's taking so long, but yeah, I could only speculate on that as well. And one more. Sorry, any comments on any of that?
Well, I'm super excited for The Substance. I mean, that
Yeah.
film, I wasn't sure if I'd like it, but it was
Mm.
just something you need to see it at the cinema. And I can't believe it ran so long down here because it was just everyone
Yeah.
was losing their balls over it. So
It's a
that's
cool
super
film.
exciting to even
Yeah.
get a 4K
Yeah.
in Australia. Like,
Yep. Yep.
super exciting. I did see you post about Honora. I hadn't heard of it.
Okay.
I know nothing about it, but not to say I
Good.
wouldn't.
Keep it that way. Just when you
Not
watch it, just watch it. Don't know anything about it. It's just it's a good ride. It did win the Palme d'Or at Cannes,
yeah,
and I don't know if you know Sean Baker's films at all. Have you seen any of his other stuff? He
probably
did
not.
he did Florida Project. He did Tangerine, and there's another one he's done as well. But those two are both great. Florida Project is a must-see movie for anyone. It's amazing. And Tangerine is also really good. It's a Christmas movie about LA. I only watched it over Christmas because it was cheap to rent on iTunes. But it'd be something I'd look to buy, to be honest. I won't explain it too much because I'd cut you off from what you were saying. But Honora, you need to watch it and know as little as you possibly can when you watch it.
Yeah, I did. I have heard of those other ones. I've never
Mm.
seen them though, so I'd definitely check them out. But yeah, just super exciting to see some of these releases
Mm.
actually get 4K here, because
Yeah.
it's usually those sorts of releases that we have to import because Australia
Yep.
won't get them.
Yep.
But with that Megalopolis, I didn't know anything about it, but all I had heard is terrible, don't bother, and
Oh,
like it. I
no.
just hadn't heard anything good about it.
I'm the opposite. It is terrible. Like you're hearing right. It is terrible, but it is some type of it's a fantastic type of terrible. It's so hard for me to describe. It looks beautiful. It looks really great. The performances are just unhinged. Like shit is said in that film and lines are delivered in that film where you just go, fucking what? Like it's just it'll make you laugh unintentionally. Like
Yeah,
it's so hard to put into words. I actually gave it 4 stars because I think it's a must see film. You need to see it just for these terrible films and there's terrible films, right? There's different grades of that.
yeah,
65, terrible film. Don't need to watch that. Megalopolis, a terrible film. You need to see Megalopolis. Honestly, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating from so many perspectives, from a filmmaking perspective. Honestly, just watch. And I think in years to come, it's a film that will be studied because Coppola's off his tits. Like, I mean, everyone knows Coppola. He's made some of the greatest films of all time, and that will
yeah,
never be topped, right? He's in his 70s. You kind of watch it and think, this motherfucker's off his meds. Just the way this film is. Like, it's honestly, it is just this. Okay, for the purpose of the show, I'm going to read what I wrote because I can't put into words off the top of my head now what I actually wrote about it because I've ranted, but it won't take me long to read. So the most disappointing thing about Megalopolis is that it will ensure Tarantino definitely does not keep making films because he doesn't want to get old and start making shit films. This has all the hallmarks of a man nearing the end of his life trying to make sense of it all and give it meaning. I love films that make me think, but not in this way. He has jammed so many ancient and modern philosophical questions into one great mess of an unclear mind, maybe unclear from over-consuming his own supply, which he sold part of to make this film. For the record, I don't know what exactly I think of this, but my rating reflects that I think this is a film cinephiles must see. It has so many interesting facets that deserve to be studied. Maybe it will make sense one day, but today it doesn't. It's a wild ride with so much incoherence and bizarre storytelling choices. Hate this following comment all you want, but I will die on a hill screaming that Shia LaBeouf is a fantastic actor. He dominates every scene he's on in here. He's in here. Sorry. He is this decade's Robert Downey Jr. from the 90s. He will have his day in the future, just as RDJ has had his now. A talent that is so close to going to waste, but hanging in for chance after chance. That's my thoughts on that movie and of Shia. It's astounding. I really recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, I definitely need to check it out. I really
Mm,
like Shire, and that guy has been down a dark fucking road.
absolutely, absolutely.
Like the interview on YouTube that he did,
With
just
John Bernthal.
yep, just
Yep.
putting it all out there,
Yep.
is just it's heartbreaking to watch.
Do you know what? I have this feeling that, not this feeling, I have this thought that geniuses, and I think Shire is a genius. He's a spectacular actor. He's a great performance. He's an artist. And he went through those times where he was doing all those art installations in LA where you could just come and yell at him, or he had a bag on his head, or he watched all of his films and filmed himself watching all of his films, and he just did all that weird shit. So I think he's a mad genius. I really do. I think he's that talented. And generally, mad geniuses go crazy. They're crazy, for lack of a better word. And he has probably tried to mask that. He grew up in the Disney system, so he has
Yeah.
substance abuse problems because Disney kids were fucking abused, right? And you can't tell me
Mm.
this kid wasn't abused. So he's trying to mask all that, and he channels it into his performances all the time. And he's the only one that understands the assignment of Megalopolis, and he's like that in pretty much all of his films that he's in. I really believe that RDJ had his issues in the 90s, in rehab, in and out of rehab, same as Shire.
Yep.
He creates all this tabloid fodder where people hate him because he's done all these terrible things. And now what? He's the most loved person in the world, RDJ, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he made some successful movies with Iron Man. It's all about publicity and the public persona. Shia LaBeouf will get there one day. He's one of the best actors we actually have. And there's a lot of them. And I say that a lot about a lot of actors, but Shia really is. And he'll have his day in the sun. Absolutely. He's too talented not to. He did have a bit of a run recently. Might have been the late teens or the early 2000s where he made that movie kind of about himself. And then he made the Peanut Butter Falcon. And I think it was Honey. And then it was almost a semi-autobiographical film about the father and son relationship. I can't remember what it's called. It's not Honey, it's something else. And he was having that bit of a renaissance, but then he fell in a hole again. He got sacked from that movie that Harry Styles ended up acting in, Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a brilliant film.
Do you like Don't Worry, Darling?
I've seen it once. I think it would
Yep.
only get better by rewatching it because there's a lot going on in that.
There is. It had a very troubled run, and I think it would have been 3 times better if Shia was in it. Absolutely. Harry Styles is not the guy for that.
Styles is a bit strange.
Yeah.
People were, pop singers that go to acting, and it's not always a good thing.
No, it's not. That's not always a good thing.
Plenty of them have done it, but no, Shia is an incredible actor. I mean, there's not one film that's like something else that he's done.
Yeah.
I reckon the last film that I watched him in was, I think it's called The Tax Collector.
Oh, yeah.
A highly brutal film, like incredibly brutal. The violence is just up there. But I reckon that was on Netflix a couple years ago. That's when I watched it.
Okay.
And it actually I think it has a sequel, but I've only ever seen the first one. Yeah, he's just such a great actor, hands down. I would check out Megalopolis just because he's in it.
Yep. I think honestly, if you're a fan of Coppola, and just if you want to study his film history, and this will be his last film, surely, it's worth watching for that. Just from an educational perspective. Like if I was a university professor in film history, Megalopolis would be one of the films I would have to have studied. Or it would be in the curriculum for sure. Yeah. It's crazy good. No, sorry, it's not crazy good. It's so hard to put into words. I would just say watch it for sure. Yeah. All right, we're on to our last segment of the show. Due for 4K. What do we want coming on 4K? I'm going to let you go first here too, mate.
All right, I'll just remove the stack that my phone's been sitting on and just push back a bit. So yeah, I kind of did this really quick because I was just getting everything together before we jumped on, and just looked through the collection, the Blu-ray collection, and just went, what would I like to see? So the first one bit of a fave. Money Train.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Um,
I haven't seen that forever.
so that's an old release back from.
Oh, I need to watch that again. You bastard. I want to
That's
watch
from
that
like
again.
2018.
Yeah.
Shock. Shock put
Okay.
out some
Did.
awesome bare bones releases,
Yeah.
and that was one of them. And I've always liked it. Saw that at the cinema when it came out. Woody and
There's no way you can buy that anymore,
Knights.
is there?
No, I haven't seen that. That those Shock releases, they put them out. 6 months later, they're just gone.
Yeah.
So there's no special features. There's no menu. It just starts. It's one of those films, one of those releases. So
I'm looking it
um,
up because I want it. Because I do want it.
to,
Because I haven't seen
to
it
have it all.
forever. That and White Man Can't Jump. Just the why don't Woody and Wes make films together anymore? Because that would be cool.
Well, they totally should. I mean,
They had a
they
good.
have an awesome dynamic. I mean, White Men Can't Jump on 4K. Let's go. Fucking,
Yeah.
it'd be amazing. I mean, they're just
I
a
can't
good
even.
duo.
It's not even on Amazon. Money Train on Blu-ray. That's crazy. You've stirred up my nostalgia with that. Anyway,
That's what I'm here for.
I like it. I love those type of old 90s action, trashy action, like Passenger 57 and things like that. Like, just love that shit. Okay, my first one is something I'm amazed we haven't mentioned before. I've not even seen really anyone mention why this shouldn't get a 4K is Con Air. Why is Con Air not getting a 4K? This was one of the first ones I put on my list. I've just waited this long to mention it.
Hands down, Con Air,
Yeah,
The Rock.
it's Disney. Yeah.
Those two, come on.
Yeah, I reckon with Sony taking over Disney's physical media, I reckon Con Air is one of the ones that Disney have in the bank as a 4K. So I reckon it will come. It's just a matter of when, because they released the Signs and Sixth Sense first. Did you get those on 4K, just as an aside?
Not yet, but
No.
I want to because
Yeah.
I've heard they're excellent.
Yeah, I haven't, and I plan not to. But if I ever see them on Amazon cheap, because I think they're one of those ones that'll be cheap at some point in Prime Day, so they're not ones I need straight off the bat. Sixth Sense would be an upgrade for me because it's one of my all-time favorites. But again, I'll wait for that to be cheap. So yeah, Con Air needs a 4K. Again, another trashy 90s action. Number 2 on your list.
Well, another fave,
Super Trooper.
So we never got a Blu-ray of this in Australia. I had to import this one through import CDs on eBay. Absolute classic film. It's still funny. I was super excited when they said they were doing a sequel, and they did like a backing campaign. And it is a great movie. It is funny, but I still think this one trumps the two. So yeah,
I didn't like Super Troopers 2. Like it.
It wasn't as good, but
No.
it's still good. Just they made a film that was so fucking good to begin with. Did they need to make a sequel? Not really.
No.
But Broken Lizard crew are like, fuck you, world. We're gonna do what we.
So are they still making anything? Because I actually really like Club Dread. I reckon Club Dread is fantastic. I actually like that more than Super Troopers. Club Dread's great.
That's a long-winded horror comedy. It's
yeah.
I think that's kind of one of the points why people might not like it, because it's quite long, but it's still really clever.
Yeah, it's great. I laugh my ass off at that. I mean, that's just my sense of humor, though, too. They made another one. What's the other one they made where they're in the restaurant? That's not Waiting. That's Waiting something different. The Slam and Salmon. Yeah,
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. Yeah, and Beer Fest, obviously, Beer Fest was good, but I'd like to see those guys make more movies.
I mean, Slamming Salmon, I just love that film. It's so funny, and
it is.
That shit could happen in a restaurant.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just fucking hilarious.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, number 2 for me. Now, this has been on my list for a while too, but I'm mentioning it now because I've gotten you into older films, and you've now watched your first Humphrey Bogart movie with Casablanca.
Yeah.
Now, this one is the Humphrey Bogart movie you need to watch. This is his best performance of all time, in my opinion. And it is a great movie, just about and I'll explain what it's about to you, but it's called Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I'm not sure if have you ever heard of that? It's a
No.
4K. It needs a 4K so bad. I own it on iTunes because you can't get it on any format in Australia, so I do own it. It's basically about these guys. He's in Mexico and he's got no food. He's basically homeless in Mexico, and he's bumming around, and he meets these guys in this like shelter, the other Americans, bums around for a job. They have to do this job for a week or two. So they bump into a guy, he's actually a gold prospector, and he talks to them about where they can get all this gold. So they get a job, and the guy who they work for doesn't pay them. So they actually go basically find him, track him down in a bar, beat him up and get their money. Then they go buy all the supplies and they travel up to the hills in Mexico in the Sierra Madre. And then they start prospecting for gold. And that's when all the trouble starts. They're all good mates when they go up there. They don't come down good mates if they come down at all. It's a fucking great movie, and it needs a 4K. It needs more recognition. It is fantastic, and more people need to see it. If you want to delve into old Humphrey Bogart, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, up top of your list. Yeah, it's a great, great movie.
Yeah, I definitely have a deeper appreciation now after seeing those two last week. It's like, I think maybe I've been deterred because I don't want to watch an old film and it just looks super old. But the restoration work that they've done on these older films is just unreal. If you're not watching it on a 4K copy, like, fuck, what are you doing?
The one thing that's great about old films is that back then, especially during the 40s, 50s, 60s, is that the focus was on story and character, and that's what makes a great film a great film. More modern films, they might look better, but the focus isn't on character and story. And back then, it just was, and I don't know, it's just a different vibe. It was a different era, and it's just, you need. Look, as someone who had the same opinion as you, even 5-6 years ago, it's such a great rabbit hole to go down. Like they just stand up so much better than most modern movies, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Even just watching Casablanca and paying a lot of attention to even just camera angles, the way that it pans across a room of people, and the way it follows him around the bar, and even the dialogue is just like, wow, this is just up there, and this is like over 80 years ago. There's films that don't even have that sort of vibe of the way that it's shot.
Absolutely not. Absolutely no.
Maybe it's an era it's gone. We'll never see films like that in that way.
They mainly made, well, not mainly. They made films to make money, but not like they do now. Like everything is so studied and analyzed, and that this is what customers want. Back then they made movies hoping they'd make money, but they made them because they just, for the love of it, for the love of the medium. They made films because they love to make films, and that's what made them good. Now they seem to really, the best films even today are made by artists. Like you'll see at the Oscars this year what films are made, and they were made for the love of the art. They weren't made to make money per se. And we were talking about The Substance before, and I don't know if you know the backstory or anyone listening knows about the backstory of The Substance, but Coralie Fargette, she was funded by Warner Brothers to make this film. They go make your film. They gave her the money. She made the film, showed it to them. They go, no, we're not releasing this. There's no way we're releasing this. And she went and had to resell it to A24. I think A24 got it. And they distributed it and said, Warner said, we're not distributing this. A24 have done it, and now it's probably the most talked about movie of 2024. And Warner Brothers executives were too scared to release it. They were like, we can't release this. And how much are they kicking themselves now? And now they're going to try and recoup what they've lost, and they're going to have all these shitty duplicate body horror films be released, and they're going to be terrible, and they're going to lose money of it, and they're not going to learn the right lesson from it, which is what Hollywood, these studios seem to do. They're not releasing films for the right reasons, and that's why cinema today, by and large, kind of sucks. The better films you're going to see are Nora and Substance and The Brutalist, films like that are made for the love of film. They're the ones that are going to get the recognition because they're the better films, and that's what older films were mostly like. There's no blockbuster. Blockbusters never existed. Just make a film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I've got a big list to show you one day, and I'll expand your horizons even more at some point. There's lots to show you.
You'll be happy to know, and you've brought it up so many times. I actually have looked up on IMDb
Mm.
Bringing Out Baby because
Oh, have you?
I wanted to read more about it and
Yeah,
what it was about,
yeah,
and I just thought Adam, he just bangs on about this movie nearly
mate.
every episode. I'm
I,
surprised you haven't
I,
said it
it
this
was
time.
on. It was there. It was actually there, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it again because it is
So
seriously one of the funniest movies of all time. Of all
I,
time, from
I just had to look it
1938.
up.
That makes no sense. Yeah, yeah. If we ever visit, if I'll either bring it to you, or if you come to me, that'll be the first film we watch together. I have the criterion of it. It's great. It's great. Anyway, yeah, there's lots of.
Well,
Yeah, onto
I,
your. Is this your third
my
one?
my third one,
Yeah.
kind of inspired, and I was thinking about last night when I was watching the Meg 2. So obviously it's a
Ah.
Statham film, The Transporter.
Oh,
How have
yes.
we not seen at least this one come out on 4K? Like, this one is hands down, it is the best of the
Yeah.
three.
Yeah.
It's just such a great film. Like the action, the stunts, all the stuff that he did in that film. Like he did that, and he was just incredibly ripped back then.
I've got to tell you something because I've never seen the Transporter films because it's just not my type of bag. I'm not a Statham fan, if that makes sense. But during what are we calling it? The New Year's holidays, I went
Yep,
to secondhand. So I actually picked up Transporter 1 and 2 Blu-ray set together.
yep.
So I've got it cheap somewhere, and I'm like, I might have, I don't know if it was an op shop or CEX, but anyway, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have that. It was like $3 or whatever for both films, and yeah, I need to watch these. So yeah,
I,
keen to
I,
check them out.
I think like I've always been a fan of Statham, and I love his films. I love the action. But he kind of, it just happens to some actors, they get kind of pigeonholed into those
Yeah,
roles,
yeah,
and that character bleeds into every other role that they go into after that. Not to say that the movies aren't good, but you're
mm,
kind of seeing like the same actor portray this character, but with a different name and a different story. In saying that, Wrath of Man does
yes,
not fall into that category at all.
no, no, I liked Wrath of Man because it's not like that. Yeah, it's not
He
even.
it's a different character, and
Yeah,
he plays it so differently. You can't help but go, "Fuck!" That there's depth
yeah,
in this character. It's not like his other ones. It's separate, and that's what I I really love about that one, and even the other new one, the Beekeeper.
yes,
Not the same character. He puts so much depth into that role that
yep,
you can't help but just sit back and go, "Fuck, this guy. He's living this guy right now. He's not living the other
yeah, yeah,
10
yeah.
dudes from other films." So those two, like, if I was to say to someone to check out, Statham, I'd say start with those two
Okay, that's good to
because
know.
they're just brutal films as well. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
violence is incredible. Like he does a lot of the choreography in his films now.
yeah. Ah, right.
Puts together fight scenes like
Ah,
Expendables 4. Haven't seen it,
no.
and I've heard it's the worst of the whole lot of them.
Mm,
But he took the reins on that one and did a lot more of the choreography work with the fight scenes. So,
okay.
Stallone took a step back because he'd done the first three,
Mm,
and then Statham did more of the work on that film. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's been
yeah.
doing this sort of work and martial arts for a bloody long time.
Yeah,
So,
I've not seen any Expendables films. I actually own the 4K box set, but I've not seen any of them yet.
well, I mean, they're films that you take them for what they are. They're over the
Mm.
top, huge, ridiculous. You can't really take them too seriously because if you
Yeah, yeah.
do, you're not going to enjoy them. But if you
Yep.
just want to sit back and be entertained with over the top, crazy action sequences, they're going to be up your alley. But
Yeah, I'm up for that sometimes. Yeah.
so yeah, I got the first three that I got from Zavi, of all places. They
Okay.
actually arrived. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
Not
yeah,
45 of them.
but I haven't rushed out to get the fourth one. It's out there. I could go get it,
Yeah.
anytime. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just haven't really heard much good about it, unfortunately.
Sometimes it's good with that too. Like there's a lot of films that have sequels, and I won't buy the sequel because they're kind of, especially when they're bad ones, because it just ruins the first one.
Yep.
Like I'll have number one in the series, and I won't buy the rest because I don't want to have to watch them and ruin the love of the first one. Yeah. Anyway, my next one is something I'm surprised neither of us have mentioned before as well, is Armageddon.
Armageddon. I'm sure you mentioned Armageddon last episode or the one
Nah,
before it. I'm sure you
nah.
talked about Armageddon and Deep Impact that you wanted to see.
It might have been on a different. It might have been a different conversation because I have a list and I tick them off once I've mentioned them. I've
Yeah.
not. I want to mention it at another time, but Armageddon needs a 4K, and I mean it's another Fox Disney property, so that's probably one of those ones that's in the can waiting to be released, and they're probably going to do a big here's Con Air and Armageddon bang and just charge us $90 for them. A 4K of Armageddon would be good. It really would. It would look great. So yeah, I mean it's Michael Bay, and Michael Bay does his visuals pretty well, to be honest. It's always not that nice orange warm tone over everything, so it'll look good in 4K. Yeah,
For sure. Well,
what's your next one?
I don't know if you've even seen this, but it's one of my all-time faves, Judgment Night.
Dude, I love Judgment. I've seen
Oh,
Judgment
good.
Night tons of times. I love it.
I'm
I have a
glad.
Blu-ray of that. That's a good set. I have a German import of that.
Premium Collection is what it's called. It's number 103. You'll be happy to know there's art cards.
Oh, is there? I
think
love Judgment Night so much, man. I can't even tell you how much I love that movie.
so. Yeah, there actually is art cards.
Wow, awesome.
I love it. But only 4 art cards, and they're very photo-like.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. And there's actually a poster as well.
So for the folks out there listening, what's Judgment Night about? Because we could just ramble on about this movie for a long time. I know.
Judgment Night is just, as it says on the back, the 90s cult action hit.
Okay.
So, basically 3 friends, or actually 4 friends.
4, yeah.
4 friends go to see a fight and go through the wrong part of town because someone didn't want to sit in the traffic. And in this whiz-do fucking new motorhome and see a gang slaying.
Yeah.
And it goes from there. Possibly one of Dennis Leary's fucking greatest performances.
He's a great bad guy. He's a prick. Yeah. And so it turns into a cat and mouse movie as they're running through the dark of the, and it's can be brutal. It's so confronting, and then there's the character types. They're all different type of. Yeah, it is fucking great. It really is great.
It's a film. I watch it. I used to have it on DVD years and years ago, and it's not a film I've ever really seen released in Australia either.
No, not at all.
And it needs more love.
I have good memories of it. I watched this with a bunch of mates on VHS back in the day, and we used to go driving around town with him, and we just played the soundtrack for it over and over in his car. Like, it's a killer soundtrack as well. I don't know if you know much about it or if you remember the soundtrack at all, but it was great. Do you have it?
On CD.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's cool tunes on there.
I remember the VHS. The Judgment Night title was in like a silver, and it reflected on the cover.
Okay, I've just got a German. I actually imported it. Might have been last year or the year before, but the thin German import of the Blu-ray. Yeah, I need to watch that again. God damn. It's
another film. It just doesn't get old. It doesn't matter how many times you see it. It's just gold.
I'm going to see if I have it on my letterbox, if I have watched it recently.
That is my number 4.
I did want to briefly bring up, before I go into mine, because I did have this on my list, and it's since been announced to come out in March, is Panic Room. So I'm going to tick that off my list. I was going to mention Panic Room this episode, but it's coming out. So wish granted. Okay, so my real pick is something I'm not sure if you've ever seen this, but this is a great comedy horror that people don't seem to understand when they do see it, that it is a comedy horror. It's called Lake Placid.
Oh, Yes,
Great,
yes.
right? Yeah.
That that didn't need any sequels.
No,
The
I've never seen them. One of those
first was
ones.
enough.
Yep, one of those ones that I have said I would never buy them or watch them even because I don't want it to ruin this one. I actually had to pick up the only way I could buy Lake Placid was on DVD, and I saw it at JB one day. It was like less than $10, so I grabbed it.
Yeah.
But Lake Placid's great fun. It's about a giant crocodile, and I watched it again. I think I was working at the video store because I had a crush on Bridget Fonda. Like she was gorgeous. 90s Bridget Fonda was hot as hell to me, and I watched it, and then Oliver Platt is the king in this movie. It's got Bill Pullman as well as the dopey cop, I would say, and Oliver Platt is just this overbearing asshole of a rich guy, and he's just great. It's funny. Lake Placid's a banger. Betty White is the old duck on the shore. Yeah.
I don't think I've really ever seen that on Blu-ray anywhere.
No, no. You can get it, but it's extremely expensive to import.
It's not worth it. I mean, I'm sure.
No, no, no.
I reckon, just speaking out aloud, I know this gets me in trouble, so I'll just do it anyway. But that just seems like a title that Scream Factory would do
Yeah,
if they were going to do a 4K. That to me, it feels like a title that's right up in their bag of tricks.
yeah, absolutely. I hope they do it one day because I would be an instant buy for me, Lake Placid. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, your next one.
So this one is the last one, but I always go from 5 to 1. So this is
Okay.
really the number one of today.
Okay.
Class of 1984.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Dude, you need to see it.
Yeah, wasn't someone else releasing that recently? Didn't someone else do that recently? I've seen it.
Possibly, yes. It has had many releases over the years. There's been a lot of different media books in Germany for these, and the
Yeah.
artwork is just absolutely phenomenal. This actually comes with a book of all
Oh
the
yeah.
things, so that's a pretty cool release. And the actual, I can't really read it, Glass Doll Films. So this is not
The
even anything Australian, really. I mean, pretty cool set. I'd love to see this get a 4K because I reckon it would just make it pop. I mean, it's got like Michael J. Fox in it. Super young Michael J. Fox.
yeah, right.
Uh,
Oh
I mean,
yes. Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
it's pretty old. Like, I reckon that it's pre Back to the Future for sure.
Oh yeah, it was made in 1982, so yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be one of his earlier
Pre
films
pre
that he
Family
did.
Ties. Yeah.
So that one is, I mean, in Australia, that's not highly accessible on Blu-ray. Like,
I don't reckon. I
that
could have
wasn't
swore
out
I saw
for very
someone
long.
releasing it. Anyway,
Yeah, definitely be keen to get that on 4K. That's a title that I would love to see Vinegar do in one of their VSU boxes, and
yeah,
it would fit
that would
in
be. Yep.
the original orange cover with them on the front. Yeah,
Mm,
it'd be rad.
I think you've picked a good one there.
But yeah, definitely check that out. For its time, the violence is up there.
Okay.
It's pretty brutal. Worth checking out. What have you got as
My
your
last one might come as a shock to some, but I love this movie. It's The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's such an underrated film. It's Shane Black writing, obviously, but Rennie Harlan directing, which is a bit off-putting because Rennie makes some trashy shit, but Long Kiss
Yeah.
Goodnight is very good. Shane Black, so it's set at Christmas. Samuel L. Jackson, Gina Davis. It's just, I don't know, it's just fucking fun. It's just a really fun. She's well, without giving too much away, but she's has amnesia and basically, like Jason Bourne, discovers that she's actually an assassin and discovers her skills as she's trying
Yeah.
to save her family. Basically, hella fun. Good final action set piece in that as well.
I've wanted that film for so long.
Yeah.
It's not that it's expensive to buy. I could get it, but I guess deep down, I'm hanging out for a 4K of that.
Yeah.
That would be an instant buy for me. That one. It's a great film.
Same. Yeah, same. It's one I have on iTunes because it was $5. And just like, yep, I would upgrade it if it came out. It'd be, I don't know who who the distributor is of that, whether it's Fox or not. To be honest, it could be. That's probably why it's being held up, because it's an old catalog title that needs to be brought back to life for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, I don't think that's ever had a Blu-ray in Australia.
Oh, I think you might be right. Yeah,
I-
I honestly don't know. Again, it would have been, I would have watched it on VHS more than once back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I'm just trying to see who the label is. We can be able to find that stuff. Who the distributor is. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and waste too much time looking for that. I can't. It's not standing out to me. So anyway, it made its money back at the box office, so that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's a New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema. Forge, Steve Tish. So I don't know. That could be anyone. New Line Roadshow, maybe.
That's interesting. I mean, if being New Line Cinema, I mean, there's plenty of
Yeah.
those films that have been redone.
So
There
who owns
must
them
be
now,
some.
though? Who owns New Line now?
I'm not sure.
I
There'd
think
have to be
it's-
something holding it up, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So this is good radio. It's Warner. Okay. So it's possible with Warner. Definitely.
I
Okay,
reckon
that's exciting.
this year, I reckon it will happen.
Might be a Christmas time release, being that's a Christmas movie.
Possibly, yeah.
It's more of a Christmas movie than bloody Die Hard, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Anyway, write your responses to that on a postcard.
All
All right.
cards to Adam.
Yes, cinema. Yeah, the postcards included in your box sets. That's going to wrap us up for today. It's been another long show as usual. Thanks for listening and thanks for tuning in. As always, appreciate your ears on the show. And yeah, hit me up. Look, leave any comments to me, KerbSide_collection on Instagram, or Blue Relic Hunter as well on Instagram. Thanks for being part of it. KerbSide Collections is a member of the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. Hit that channel up, because there's lots of great content on there as well. So I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year, everyone, and have a great 2025 collecting, because it's going to be a special one, I think.
It's going to be expensive.
It's going to be an expensive one. That is the right way to sign off. Hopefully we all win Powerball. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
No worries. See ya.